shoot, my sheets are over there. Can you grab that? My bad. I'm all over the map here, bud. I apologize.
All right. I don't know where my sheets are.
Gotta get myself fired up here. These are your sheets right here.
Oh, okay. The notification worked. That's a good thing. The we went live notification.
Oh, we're live. All right. Got my cold one.
And
here.
of course, our stream immediately goes down. Okay.
Well, that will happen, won't it?
This is, of course, after the
Goof Squad.
Yeah. They showed up and they're like, "Yep, we see the problem. Your uplinks busted."
You're yeah, I have already heard that. That been a part of that particular one.
Hey, Ricky. How's it going, man?
I think we actually covered this one, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, no dream catcher.
Hey, Pix. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad you can join us from Italy.
Ooh, how fancy, eh?
Yeah.
We covered this last week, didn't we?
No.
We did not cover this
I
one?
already double checked. We did not
Okay.
talk about that last week.
It must have came in right as we were going.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, fellas. What's a good word? Man. Italy. An island in Italy.
Yeah. This is we're in a dumpster fire in West Virginia. It's sort of like an island in Italy.
Dumpster fire? What's
No.
going on? I missed something?
No, everything's fine. Our state's in great shape.
It could be worse. Look at California. They're in deep trouble.
That's
out there.
true. Very true. And here's another good thing for both of us. We don't work in Charleston. Do you hear about the construction that's going on the bridge over there by the Montrose exit?
We all don't go down to Montrose in this case,
Yeah.
as the song says.
Is there a song where you go down to Montrose?
You ever heard that song, gosh, Smoke on the Water?
Yeah.
We all went down to Montrose.
Oh, you know, I don't know if I've ever heard the actual song "Smoke on the Water." Just
Yeah.
the various marching
Oh,
band
you've heard
arrangements
it.
that we play.
Come
I mean,
on.
I know it, but
This is a man, he really goes deep into this alien game. You know, I never liked aliens.
Hey, Duncan.
I never saw aliens.
well, we'll talk about that on the show.
Yeah. Let's talk about it now, bud. Let's practice our jabber. That's all.
Do you have an ad ready?
No, of course I got nothing. We'll just ham and egg one.
Okay.
Come up with something.
Yeah, we should have done that before we started the episode, but I guess it doesn't matter.
We'll just do it
stream the
after.
ad.
No, let's do it after. We'll do it after we're done. We'll do it at the end.
Are you gonna have enough energy to do it after we're done?
I'll have more energy than I do now.
Okay.
Just don't worry about me. Once I get some cold one in me, I'll be good to go.
Remember that commercial? Take the time to taste the Welch's.
Nope.
Take the time to roll it round.
No.
I always thought that was sort of disgusting, like a sort of description of what the juice does in your mouth. Roll it round.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Take the time to taste the Welch's. Take the time to roll it round. You never heard that commercial?
No. Is it sang like that?
Yes.
They ethered up the singer before he put it on there. Take the time. No wonder it creeped you out. They
Well,
creeped me out too. That's why he's
is-
singing it like
it's
that.
a very creepy commercial. I don't see much commercials from Welch's these days. I don't know if they're still doing
You
their
mean
thing.
the people that make jelly and juice?
Yep.
Yeah, they're still around. Welch's?
Do you remember Welch Brothers Upholstery?
Yeah. I hit a chicken in front of their store.
No, I don't know anything about them other than their store.
Yeah.
And now their sign has been busted out with a rock.
Oh, yeah. Are they still
Yeah.
around?
I don't think so. I think they probably closed
Yeah.
down.
I was
decades
driving
ago.
down Route 60 delivering pizza. Bam. Chicken.
Right there.
Chicken.
Did you report it?
Chicken survived.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that was good.
He
Lucky
just sort
for
of,
the chicken.
it was funny, I was driving. I'm just, we're going to 55, 60 mile an hour. Bam, chicken. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Pull off the road there right in front of Welch's. Chicken just no-sold it. It's like,
I'm fine.
I'm made of feathers,
Cool.
jerk. It wasn't my fault. I mean, I don't mean like I ran over him. I mean, he hit my
He came
windshield.
right at you.
I think he descended from the heavens.
Well, they do fly off.
They could jump real high with their wings.
Yeah. They do a flutter.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not a real jump.
I never see chickens anywhere on these roads except for Hurricane Creek.
Oh, no. Back in my day, there were chickens aplenty.
Well, I grew up on Chicken Farm Road.
Yeah. Ironically, I've never seen chickens on the road.
I
out
think
there.
that chicken farm probably closed down in the mid 30s.
Yeah. But yeah, I plowed right into that sucker, and he just He didn't care.
No.
That's his own fault. I've got the same deal with birds on the road. Stay off the road. It's like birds will sit down on the road right before your car gets to them, and then they like flutter off.
They need to make a sign so the birds can read just a picture of a bird and just say, "Stay off the road."
No. I mean, that's part of the deal. Birds can do what they want, but if you get hit on the road, that's your own darn fault. I mean, people will slow down for dogs and cats or even critters, but no one slows down for birds.
Oh, no.
Just plow right through. Unless
Yeah.
it's like an ostrich or something, or, one of those big birds.
Yeah, you rarely see those here. I mean, not often.
In Virginia, that drive-through safari thing I went to,
Yeah.
there were emus and ostriches and all that huge birds to beat the band. They were coming out of the yin-yang, and they would, you had the big bucket of food, and you roll your window down, and
they come right
those
for
suckers,
it.
they get their heads in there, and they go to work, and they don't care. I've still got bird food out there could get up out of my car from where they whip bananas in there.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the bad side,
Yeah.
And they go through the food. And
I bet that that food don't come cheap either, does it?
it's not. Well, here's the funny thing about it. They limit how much you can buy.
Really?
You could buy like 4 buckets.
Okay.
And so we bought 4, and it was like $12 or whatever.
Oh, that's not bad.
And they're big old buckets. But the thing is, depending on what animal rolls up, they can kill a bucket of that like that.
Yeah.
And you don't think about how strong an animal is until, they got animal strength. They're not like humans.
Right.
Like, I've tussled with strong people. They're strong. But like a horse or an emu or an ostrich,
Well,
these things, their
muscle.
necks and crap, they just they can pick up by the neck and just whip you around.
Yeah.
And so they go crazy. And if you're not ready for their power, they'll take that bucket out of there. They don't care. I don't give a crap about that.
Yeah.
That was a cool thing, that safari. That for the drive-through safari.
If it wasn't so far away, it's just like everything else. It's a drive to get there, and then you got to turn around and drive back.
That's true. Because aside from the safari place, I don't know what you do out there. You could spend the day out there.
I guess you could.
We did.
Ranger.
We spent a full day out there, but like you said, it's a X amount of hours drive down and X amount of hours drive back, and it's X being like 7.
Yeah, it's a big X.
Or
X is known in this case.
How many hours do you have to be in the car before you consider it like going from like a moderate local affair to like an actual factual journey?
More than 3 for me. More than
on
3.
one way.
One way.
Yeah. And that's pretty broad.
It's pretty that I'm spending the day. I don't like to drive more than 3 hours and come back, very soon after.
If you took a compass, a pen, and took a circle for 3 hours, which let's conservatively say, let's say 200 miles would be your radius. All right. You would think, oh wow, we can go a long way, but in West Virginia, that's not the way it works.
No, it doesn't.
200 miles doesn't go 200 miles because you're going up and down mountains, up and down, and especially going out toward Virginia. It's mountainmania.
Yeah.
So 200 miles might not get you very far because it's 150 miles of going up and down.
If you're going anywhere else but into the state of West Virginia, you can get to all kinds of places in about 3 hours. Columbus about 3, Cincinnati about 3 and a half.
If you go that way.
Yeah. But if you're heading down into the heart of our great state, then
or if you're going you're right. If you're going towards Ohio, towards any part of Ohio, and Kentucky is mountainy, but it's only mountainy for a little while.
Right. Then it clears
Then you're
out.
okay.
Yeah.
You're good to go. But you're right. Anywhere south or southeast,
East,
or even
Just
mostly
dead,
east.
Dead east.
Yeah, and if you're going through our state, you're boned. It's going to be because you're screwed on that because it's all mountains the whole way east, the whole way north mountains. It's funny because I talk to people that live in up near Chicago and stuff, and for them, they don't it's different because it's so flat. 2 hours there, that gets you 200 straight miles.
Right. Because you're going 70 the whole way.
Yeah. It takes forever to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, you get used to it, and in the winter, forget about it.
Yeah.
You get no chance. Our turnpike. Can you imagine getting suckers on that turnpike and be like, here, just cut them loose?
Well, that's why there's all those crazy wrecks on the turnpike.
See how much time you can make on a West Virginia turnpike where you're doing bank curves at a 45-degree angle downhill.
Yep.
It's like, what the? Oh, by the way, there's a sheer cliff on this side. Oh, here's a mountain face.
Anywhere you go, you see that emergency truck ramp, and that's when
when you see that, it's bad times. And all the way down to Beckley, they got those things to beat the band. And when you get into Virginia, They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And really, if you go south, you're in the mountains until you get into the Carolinas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's the way it is.
Until the temperature changes.
Yeah.
That's when you know when it starts getting warmer, you've left the mountains.
Yeah. So there you go. Well, I guess you'll never be going to see that drive-through safari.
The chances are slim. I won't rule it out, though.
You guys, how long did it take you to go to that monastery?
It's 4 hours. It's not bad. Not a bad drive.
So, but that's a journey.
It's
but
a
you
journey.
stayed there for days.
Yeah, I wouldn't go down and come back the same
That's
day.
what I was wondering. Yeah.
No way. Columbus is Cincinnati, about the furthest I'll go.
You see that Edmonds got to drive 6 hours tomorrow.
That's a long drive. It's a long drive.
Was it worth it, man? I bet it was.
Man, I've seen those pictures. It was totally worth it for Edmund.
I drive almost 2 hours every day just to get to work and back. I figure that's a pretty good effort. And then sometimes when I'm at work, I can drive up to 6 hours.
Have you ever checked? I mean, are there no instrument inspectors and fixers in the state of West Virginia?
It's a whole different setup. Listen, you don't.
You're right. I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
No, I mean what I'm saying is I'm better off where I'm at.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, they get a whole different setup. I think the police do it here, the actual local police. Yeah. There you go. And God knows what who knows what intoxicants they got here. Probably something. It's probably something they rigged up in the shed. You know what I mean?
It's like a reverse spill somehow. Breathe into this pipe.
You need to get on this bike and what? That's exactly what. And like we've got the intoxicants 8,000 in Kentucky. Here we've got the intoxicants 8.
Yeah.
I can see it, man.
And our stream's going down and up like crazy. It's flashing.
They fixed it. It's good to go. I didn't go all the way into red.
Well, it touched it. I don't even like to look at it.
Don't
just
look.
Looking at that green square just fills me with anxiety because I know it's going to turn red at any second.
You know, it's funny when we do ARG Presents, especially when it was the bad times. We'll be chatting, I'll be chatting, having a good time, and I'll watch Brent, and he'll go, I'm like, what the hell, stroke? What's happening? And what he's doing is just like you. He's watching that thing. Yeah. I'm like, listen, you got to just ignore that thing.
You got to.
You know, because this thing's going up live, brother. It's going up live. We're recording it live, so what are you gonna do? You can't affect that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you can't let it happen.
You're right.
You know.
You're right.
I can see someone like yourself dressed so smartly. I can see where these little sneakers will drive you nuts.
They do. They do.
I bet you hate it when your clothes have like a loose thread. Are you one of those?
It's the worst. It's the worst. I cut it off immediately.
Mine are comprised of mostly loose threads. So yeah. So
ignore that. That the audio feed's solid. That's I care more about that than the video.
Shh. Stop talking, Pixels.
Yeah. Just seriously, chat. If the stream goes down when we're recording, don't put that on there because even just seeing it'll throw me off, and we don't want that. You might do one that might be entertaining for you. I don't know, but
I've seen you melt down. To me, it's not entertaining.
No,
it's more like a red alert.
Yeah.
Run away! Here comes Mad Boat. Not good.
What's
the plan, Boatman?
Okay, let's do the rundown real quick. So, banter.
There it is. Please, you're booking our banter now. What if we start the show with banter and I've got nothing to say?
No, remember when I didn't start the show with banter and you went off on me?
I don't.
Okay, well that's happened multiple times.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah, because I was like, "Where's the banter?"
Right.
So now you put it in there.
Now I put it in there.
That's the Aaron clause.
To placate you, yeah.
I want to talk.
Then we'll do the site updates, aka Dreamcatcher.
All right.
Okay. Then we'll do the news.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll do the game. Then we'll do the. I think we should change our video section. We should call it around the horn. We should call it something like what's been going on the channel is not a real snappy
channel
name.
news.
Channel news.
Channel news.
Okay. You really love that robot. You love it.
What I like about it is it's clearly you.
What are you talking about?
You know, like I'll give you an example. I watch a lot of I listen to a lot of Pixel Gaiden, right? Mm-hmm. And so Pixel Gaiden, for every single segment, there's a crazy announcer.
Oh yeah.
Hey, it's blah blah blah, and it's clearly one of the. It's not Eric. It's the I never can remember his buddy's name, but it's always him doing these things.
You know, I listen.
But he's like jazzed it up so bad. So he sounds like a crazy DJ, but it's him, and that's the way the robot is. It's clearly you, which is the slightly robotic tinge.
It's funny. I was listening to Pixel Gaiden.
Yeah.
And they've got the most elaborate.
Cody. I'm sorry, Cody.
They've got the most elaborate introduction I've ever heard. There's a countdown. There's sound effects.
Yeah. That dude's got a soundboard, and he plays crazy sounds, like that stuff. It's like they're almost like a wacky morning show of retro. Well, it's not really. A lot of stuff they don't cover is not even retro gaming to me. It's more like modern gaming, or
they've got their feet in both pools.
Oh, the feet are in several pools, and their hands are in like a couple other pools,
like little hand pools.
They're getting their nails done.
What do you call those finger bowls?
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, where you. I always wondered about that, actually.
I'd call them digit tubs.
Digit tubs. Man, that sounds like a great name for a new show. Welcome to Digit Tubs.
What are you talking about on that?
I'll be your guide.
You do math, and we'll go out in your hot tub and do a bunch of math.
I've been contemplating, I wanted to use the hot tub at least a couple times before it gets super cold, but when it's a little bit cold, it's still not a little bit cold. It was
this Sunday will be your day.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's going to get cold.
Yeah, Sunday's going to be your big day, Bud, on that.
All right, you ready?
Oh, yeah. Let me see here. Yes, I think I am ready, sir. Let's go.
I'm going to go ahead and...
Adios! Oh, yeah.
How do you notice the audio being improved this week, guys? I did some tweaking on the old soundboard.
He punched my throat until it sounded the way he wanted.
Dasley, the SGI has not. We've been. I've been so busy getting the Amigos RSS transferred over to Anchor. Not had time to fool with the SGI, but this Saturday night probably not. Maybe on Monday.
I don't know, Terry.
Maybe on Monday.
Since we moved all that stuff to Anchor, I noticed I was doing Sailor Man that when you're on the menu, it plays Anchors Away in a beautiful, and we should hork that.
We should.
And then put that behind whatever we do next time. It'll be awesome.
Okay, let's do it. I do want to check to make sure our scenes are set correctly.
Oh, the scenes are good. They're good.
Okay.
See that big red hoop? Does that bother you?
What red hoop?
Around our video screen. That.
No.
The little thing?
No. That tells me that everything's okay.
You don't lock any of your stuff, do you?
No, because when I have to move it, I have to unlock.
Man, I lock. We clearly, hey, what's going on, Nigel? I lock everything because I can't tell you how many times I've been using the touchpad.
Well, yeah, if you're using a touchpad, you have.
Well, I got rid of the touchpad.
Good.
When I started doing the production live, I'm like, screw this.
You need a mouse and you need it in your hand.
Because I had. What the hell are you doing? I'm like, I don't know.
The background just flies off the screen without warning. All right.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today on this exciting edition of Public Domania, I believe this is Volume 7, we are going to be talking about Wormtris and Megaball.
Yeah.
2 titles, just by their name alone.
They're gold.
Yeah, solicit certain emotions.
Yes, they do. Boy, I did get very emotional this week. I'm not gonna lie. I brought my hanky.
But Aaron, I want to bring you back. I want to enter the time machine with you, going way, way back in time, and I want you to tell me about your first experience with public domain software.
Public domain. The first experience with public domain software. Gosh, gee, many Christmas. Well, it would have had to have been way back. Probably the very first couple times I got onto bulletin boards. The bulletin board I got on the first time, I'll never forget it, West Virginia Net, WV Net.
That was a BBS.
It was a local BBS. And it was, it was some kind of educational thing, but I was just so happy to be online. I was like, oh boy, and there were files. You could get files.
Yeah.
And you could get files, and I was surfing the net on the Coco, ironically, and they had some small, basic programs you could download that were someone had put together to, do. I mean, it was real pedestrian stuff. So
you were doing this surfing on a PC, looking for Coco games?
No, I was on a Coco.
You were on a Coco.
Yeah, this was public domain, Coco public domain
I
stuff.
see. Okay.
Yeah. And you could just get little programs that would do, like, I remember just downloading anything I could because I didn't know what downloading was. And so I remember getting something to organize a cookbook. That's probably the first thing I ever got.
Really?
Some kind of cookbook thing. I didn't want it.
I played a cookbook game on the Spectrum.
Well, this was not a game. Although I tried to make it a game, but it's not. But you asked my very first introduction to public domain, that's what it was, randomly grabbing things because I didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Now, my first introduction to a proper public domain game would probably be a text game. It would be on the Coco. And I remember playing some text games that I would download that were public domain. And the only reason I say they're public domain because a lot of times you just get stuff that were just unlabeled, something that's probably put up there.
Right.
But these would come up and say, hey, you can send, if you like this, you can send a couple bucks and here's an address. And then there you go. But when public domain to me took off mostly when I was on the PC. And really, public domain had been around for a long time, but the stuff I remember where it really took off was, I hate to say this, but it was that sort of Apogee era because really, public domain to me was synonymous with crap. I just didn't think it was very good. Mm-hmm. It was public domain, so in essence, it's like public television. It's like that's crap. And now it's not is that a fair thing to say? It's not, but it's true. You're getting it for free. They're not making you pay for it. So how good could it be?
Yeah. I think maybe a more apt comparison would be something like local access TV.
Well, it doesn't same. You're right, but it's free. My point is, it was free. If it was any good, they'd make you pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's pirating public domain. Let's just put it that way. Hey, public domain came around a big way, and on the Amiga, I was in the Software of the Month Club. And every month I got discs and discs full of public domain stuff. And I used to love getting those discs. I'd play all the public domain stuff. It was fun. There was a lot of good stuff in there. The Amiga public domain sector was pretty solid to me. I thought. I was a member of the Software Disc of the Month Club for years, and built up a huge collection of them. And there were good stuff on there. Mm-hmm. But overall, since I was a dirty, rotten, stinking, filthy pirate boy, I just pirated the stuff I wanted. So public domain, it wasn't that big.
You kind of leapfrogged the public domain. You went right for the commercial.
Yeah, with the exception of your Dooms and that sort of thing, because Doom was a big, of course, that was shareware.
So you don't see any difference between public domain and shareware?
Well, can you get them for free right now? If the answer is yes, I put them in the same kind of box. Now, public domain, you don't have to pay for it. Shareware, you're supposed to pay for it to either register it or to make it whole, So there's the difference there, and I've seen people debate this, and they could get into real intricacies. I'm not going to do that, and I don't know if you want to, but
well, that sounds great, but I think
there people make a big deal out of it. But to me, if you're shareware, you pay them to get more, as opposed to just getting the demo that you got. But Doom was a pretty big deal when it came out for shareware. I think it really took that to the next level.
Sure.
Yeah, because people are like, crap, you can get this right now, and you can play it for free, and you can get more if you pay for it.
It coincided with the internet as well. They went hand in hand. People could download something that wasn't on a BBS.
Yeah, because really, the BBS setup was not conducive to a model that you could sell your game like that. You could order. It's sort of like ordering games on the back of the magazine, except it's a step, maybe 3 steps down from that. So you're looking way down there. So yeah, until the majority of the country had access to an online common area, you really couldn't do a business model on BBSs. I'm sure somebody tried, but
yeah.
There you go. What about you? What's your public domain past?
Public domain always seemed really sketchy to me, and I'll tell you why. Because in the back of Antic magazine, there will be all these ads for public domain, and they always said XXX public domain games, adults only, and then there was a little address you could send your money to.
Yeah.
And so I've always associated public domain games with working a little blue. Now, of course, I know that's not the case since we've started this show.
You mean you didn't up to the point where we started doing these? You thought public domain games had nudity and
I thought it was nothing but filth.
But you knew about Doom and stuff,
didn't you?
That's
shareware.
But for you, there was a stark contrast between the two.
Oh yeah, because public domain was the stuff that was nasty, and shareware was the stuff that was Doom and really.
So you were out of your mind, is what you're saying.
I'm just saying I had different views.
Yeah, wrong ones.
Yes.
Public domain has very little to do. Most porn is not public domain.
That's very true. That's very true. But if you were a kid and the only time you ever saw the words public domain was when they were flanked by the letters XXX, you would form that opinion. Remember, I wasn't in the scene like you were.
Well,
I was on an island by myself with me and the Atari 1200 XL. There was no one else to guide me.
I will give you this. If you're getting the majority of your knowledge about public domain and shareware and stuff from the back of magazines, it gets a little wacky back there. You know, wrestling. I used to read wrestling magazines. It was the same thing. Some people want to order a wrestling tape, right? Mm-hmm. So you get a Wrestling Eye magazine, one of the ones that had back ads in them. Well, you could order those, but mixed in with those was apartment wrestling and cat fighting and stuff like that. So you're like, wait a minute here.
Sort of code.
Am I going to get Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair? Am I going to get Hyena Girl taking on Panther Lady in some guy's bedroom?
Yeah.
And maybe you want to see them, but maybe you don't.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you just want to see the American Dream.
That's exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a pass.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Aaron, what's been going on this week over at everythingamiga.com?
Well, the DK Master put up another one. In fact, we just missed that press time last week. So, believe it or not, it's Ripley is the title of this week's offering, and he goes into a little film series called Alien. Now, we don't agree on much film-wise, but I think we can both agree that I know you've never seen any of the Alien movies, have you?
No.
And I've only seen the third one, which I've been told is garbage.
I hear the ones to start with are the Alien versus Predator movies that recently came out.
Well, I have played the Capcom game of that, and I've also played the Jaguar game of that, but otherwise, no. I'm not a big fan of space horror, and it's funny.
You like your horror to be more terrestrial?
Well, here's the funny thing about it. I think in this area, me and you are very close. There's something very unsettling to me about space horror. I don't know why. I don't know what it is that it creeps me out. And the whole alien coming out of the gut, weird. I'm not into that. Or the alien pops its mouth open. There's a little alien in the mouth that's like a tongue. What is that?
Little alien tongue.
I mean, how does that thing even function in the real world? What's the little alien? How's he feeling in there? Probably not so good.
That's true.
No wonder he's mad.
Nobody wants. It's sort of like being the end of the donkey when you're in a two-person donkey costume.
Something else. This is no offense to her, but I'm not the biggest Sigourney Weaver fan.
Was she in any other films?
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
Who did she play?
She was the chick in Ghostbusters. She was the girl that they came to help out.
Oh, she wasn't the answer the phone lady. Janine or whatever?
No.
I might be thinking about the cartoon.
Well, no. Have you seen the film Ghostbusters?
Yeah,
okay.
I think.
Do you remember the girl who went home and she opened a fridge and there was a separate world inside the fridge?
Yeah. She's Bill Murray's love interest.
That's right.
Okay, yes.
That's her.
About. I didn't realize that was the same person.
And she's done a zillion things, but those are the things that leap to mind. And I don't hate her. I'm not a huge fan. So between weird alien horror and we're watching.
Look at that. I don't want to see that.
We're watching pictures go by and there's a bug-eyed guy with crap come out of his face.
Nope.
I don't need that.
Nope.
Who likes that?
No.
Not me.
I think the thing about space horror that is attractive to people that enjoy horror films is you have the added tension of a claustrophobic environment. You can't run away when you're in space. You're stuck on the station.
He's intermingling Aliens 3, the movie, with the game. Now, we actually did Aliens 3 a long time ago, and it was okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember hating it.
It's not a bad game.
I saw it, and I just think it was that good either, but then everybody tells me it's horrible, so there you go.
I believe, isn't Alien famous for conceptualizing the first space marine? Isn't that the first time that word was used?
Got me. I know everybody says it's Giger-esque. I think Giger, I don't know if he was officially involved or unofficially involved in it, or Geiger if you're us from 5 years ago. Hey, what are you going to do? It's like, I've heard people, Tate mode, where you turn the TV sideways, pronounce it Tate. I never pronounce it like that. That may be the way you're supposed to pronounce
it. Little man Tate. That's where it's based on.
Sounds kind of snooty.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Nobody wants a two-syllable word where one will do.
No. Anyway, if you want a old school Dreamcatcher movie, video game, Double Trouble article, go for it.
That's the one, huh?
Yeah. And Alien 3, like I said, Dreamcatcher covers a lot of movies that have hideous games based on them. This is sort of like not a very good movie that has an adequate game. Yeah. So you got that going for you.
All right, Aaron. It's time to talk about what's been going on this week I'm not going to say it.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Because there's a sound that I hear. It's coming up over the hill, coming down the track. It's the gamble train.
Oh, no.
It's back, Aaron. You thought it was gone.
Yeah, I love that it was gone.
It's back.
Doesn't
and
make
it's ready
any
for
sense.
action. Look
Get
at
that-
it. It's rolling down the track.
That is horrific.
And it's chock full of Amiga news. It's brimming.
That is a horrific
There is
image right
Amiga
there.
news seeping through the undercarriage of the gamble train.
See, this is like another Aliens film right here. Are stuff going to come out of the wall and stab me in my face as my eyes bug out? Is that what's coming?
Boy, I hope not. At least not
too.
until after I leave. Aaron, this week, Amiga-rama, our boy, Lore Farius. I was saying his name wrong, by the way. There's an R in there. It's not Lo Farius.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Did you notice
it's
that?
It's a silent R.
Did you choose not to correct me?
Listen, you have to wallow in your own crapulence, my friend.
Well, he is talking about Altered Beast.
I listened to this actually because I knew you were going to bring this up due to your jerkery. All right?
Altered Beast has its own storied history here on the Amigos podcast.
Yeah, and I knew when I saw it. In fact, I left a message to Loaf. I said, "Listen, you're in for it, pal. You know." And because I knew how hideously bad this was, and I knew you weren't going to let this go by without bringing that up again. So go ahead, and make yourself feel good.
So at the beginning of the show, Aaron at 5 or 6 times, he's like, "Man, I can't wait to talk about Altered Beast." He said this on the show.
That's not true. Not 5 or 6 times.
He was like, "You want to talk about an arcade perfect conversion?"
No, I never said that either.
Altered Beast.
This is all that you're rewriting history here.
And we've played Altered Beast.
It was horrible.
And it was horrible.
I was mistaking it with I don't know what. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I played a lot of the Mega Drive Altered Beast, and I thought it was good. I like Altered Beast. I played the crap out of it, but the Amiga version is an Outrun-esque effort.
It's a one to skip.
Hideousness.
It's a one to skip. But what's not to skip is the Amiga-rama podcast.
Yeah,
if you're not listening, you should be.
And I will say this, Lafarius talks about how much he loves this game. So this had to be extra brutal for him for getting a crap version.
Or maybe he loves the Amiga version.
No, he does not.
Doesn't.
I'm going to spoil the show right now. He hates it, and he's right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up, Bo.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll be sure to bring it up several more times throughout the course of our run here. Next up, Aaron, our boy Ravi. In 21 hours, this thing is closing in. He's over. Now, how would you pronounce this, Aaron? This place here.
Leicestershire.
Oh, you're so close. It's just like Leicester the Unlikely.
Okay.
He's going to be at the Leicester Retro Museum. This is at the home of several of our compatriots. I know that Chris Folds hails from Leicester, and there's another guy too that is in the Discord that's from Leicester. And so if you are in the area, come on out and see Ravi do his famous Amiga DJ set where he's got two 1200s. He's got the little screens.
He's got some kind of weird box.
Yeah.
Look at all the knobs on that box. We mentioned that last week. It looked now from this angle, it's even more. It's like something you put out of like a plane, like a jumbo jet. He just took that crap and rewired it up. Who knows what he's got going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I've seen his act. I endorse. This is gonna be a good show. He should add some dance moves in there.
Who knows? Maybe he does. Maybe he mixes it up, especially when he's live. He's not in his room, but he's out and about.
Yeah. You're right. Probably in his room dancing, make you look like an idiot.
Yeah, I never do that.
I know.
10-minute Amiga Retrocast this week, Aaron.
I watched this one too.
This is another review, another viewpoint, as it were, of the Checkmate Amiga 1500 case. We saw the wonderful Retro Man Cave review of it, but it never hurts to get a second opinion. And Doug over at 10-minute Amiga Retrocast puts this thing through its paces. I think he ends up installing just a normal 500 in there. Isn't that right?
I believe so. I have to say I've watched several of these case setups, and I thought this was really good. Of course, Tin Mark, he knows what he's doing, and it's funny now that I think I've seen Neil from Retro Man Cave put one of these things together, and I think Pixel Vixen put one together, and now we've seen Tin Mark do it. And between the three of them, I've got a real good idea of what these things look like inside. Tin Mark shows off the different face plates, different back cases, I should say, plates for it. This is a very well thought out gimmick. I will say it's very impressive.
Does this make you more or less envious of having one of these since you started watching all these unboxing and putting together videos?
Oh, wait a second. Hi, Neil. Now say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Does this make you more or less wanting to have. I'm searching for the right word. Envious of owning one of these things now that you've seen this
envious
thing.
Of owning it. Like I'm gonna go steal one. Here's my only issue with this, right? So get this, because I was thinking about this as I was watching it. These are awesome new cases. I think if I was going to get one of these new vampire boards or one of those Amiga 500 double plus, like do it yourself. We saw Neil put all the capture crap on there, one of those. This will be perfect because it's all new, fresh thing. When you transplant if I have a 500 and I want to transplant it here to get those slots, I could see that, but I don't know if I would actually take one of my old Amigas, like say my 1200, and stick it in this. I've had second thoughts about it, and because I don't, maybe it's because I've got the Amiga 1000 now. Mm-hmm. That might be part of it, and so I've been satiated for that kind of setup. So I don't know if I would do it now. I think what I would rather do is take a fresh Amiga, hot off the presses, stick it in this thing, and then get a proper keyboard or a USB keyboard or whatever you can do, and then and to go that route. I will say I don't, and this is nothing against the setup. The fact that he's made a gimmick to make that external keyboard is amazing. But the keyboard is ugly. Yeah. It's nothing you could do about it. I mean, that's the best you could do. It's a big, weird, blocky. I mean, you could beat a man to death with it. It's all steel, but it's not attractive. And I think I would rather have a fresh keyboard, fresh everything. I think that's what I would like to have.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I would not take a 500 apart, a working 500 apart to build one of these things because part of the appeal to me about the 500 is it's all in one design. But if I had a spare board of some sort, whether it was a new one or an old one or whatever, and then I could but I wouldn't use that keyboard. I mean, I agree with you. That keyboard is not attractive.
If you've got the 1000, for example, that keyboard is sort of slight. It fits perfectly underneath it. And then and there are lifts, and this is something else that Tinmark goes into. There are lifts that you can put under this thing that will make this dock just like the 1000s does. And I mean, it's a functional gimmick.
Sure.
But I mean, if I'm going to spend the money to get this super fancy case, and I'm going to spend the money to get whatever I put in it, I probably am going to put a new keyboard with it.
Yeah.
Because something that looks fresh and that isn't as bulky looking. That sounds sort of vain, I guess. I mean, listen, I'm all about functionality.
This is the exact same talk that we had about the Vampire. Like you spend all this money on this thing, and you want it to look a certain way. You want it to look like. When you look down, you want to think to yourself, boy, that's a nice looking thing.
Well, yeah. And I think this paired with that new Vampire, if that's your bag, we're not here to judge, and it sort of would be my bag if I had this case, it showed up tomorrow, bam. And then somebody was like, hey, there's a roving Vampire standalone guy next door. And I went down and threw my money down, and I've got this, and I would be on to something.
Sure.
You put it in there, you get your USB keyboard, and it can look really swank. And you've got all that extra space to mess around with. You won't really need it, but it's there. Then you got something. I don't know. No, but I mean, still, this is a boon for Amiga 500 owners that want a real easy way to upgrade to a point where they can get like card support and have a slots. Like I will admit that one of the since my collection of Amigas is the 600s, the 1200, the 500s, or the 32X, I've got no expansion port, no card slots, because I was thinking how neat it would be to have a PC card to put in one of these things to play with. Or I even read about bridge boards that would do stuff like you do C64 stuff. That would be fun to have cards and look for them, give you something to hunt for over the years. But that's not really an option. I mean, they make cards that you can put in with that for like PC compatibility that goes into your that 1000 or 1200. They do, but I mean, cards like this would be a lot easier. Plus, you could also put in like PC video card or whatever you want. It gives you options that you don't have otherwise. So I could see that aspect of it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I just wonder, by the time, if you're starting from scratch, if you buy the 500 and you buy the Checkmate case, at what point does it just make sense to just buy a 2000? And then you've got everything right off the bat.
Or maybe just buy one of the new Amigas that,
Yeah.
Then maybe that we can say, well, they're so expensive.
It's just like everything. If you're in a specific use case, then this thing is for you, and if not, maybe it's not. But
I mean, it's one thing about it is brilliant, though. The case it's compatible with so many different things. I mean, you could put like I think it's like a mini ATX
motherboard in there,
like a PC board in there, and it would be beautiful for that. I mean, the amount of design that went into this is astounding. It's astounding. So I had thumbs up to that, and thumbs up to 10 Mark. We did a great job on this. Very descriptive too.
All right, Aaron. The next car down on the gamble train, there is a new vintage computer gathering that's going on. This is the SoCal Vintage Computer Gaming Group at Lost Levels Arcade.
Ooh,
this
cool
thing is guaranteed to have some Amiga presence here. This is October 5th over in Claremont, California. If you're in the area and you are looking for something to do before Ami West, this is something that's coming up. Oh, it's already happened.
Well, how was it?
It was fantastic. That's all about it. I could have sworn that this was coming up soon, but I guess that it's already happened. So never mind. But you can check out if there's any pictures.
I'm sure they'll have one next month.
Yeah, I was going to say this is another group that I came across that has Amiga action going on. They've got a Facebook page. If you want to sign up, and like their page, you can keep track of what's new and what's coming up with these guys, the SoCal Vintage Computer Gaming Group.
I will say, I'm glad you brought this up just for the Facebook cover photo of these kids to try to explain this. You've never seen children so stunned and amazed. The kid in the blue sweater, it's like he has touched the face of God. I mean, this kid is astounded. I don't know what they're playing. Can you see what that game is on the screen?
No.
It must be the most awesome game of all the time. I want to do whatever it is they're doing to be that excited. I don't care what it is.
It's all the time. I want to be like that.
Something tells me they've got a heated game of Wormtris going on.
That's exactly that
was exactly my reaction when I fired that thing up.
Okay, I found this next story on the old Amiga Facebook group.
You were really trolling around this week.
Yeah, man. It was PD week.
No.
That's all I gotta say.
Foreshadowing.
This is a guy. Look at these labels. Okay, this guy has printed custom labels.
I did see something about that. Those are nice, aren't they?
Yeah, and this led to a discussion on the Facebook group about do you like running your games from disk? In this day and age where we have WHD, we've got the GoTech. Is there still a place for loading games off, the old 3.5-inch discs? This guy, I guess, he had a buddy with a real professional printer. So these things, I mean, they look like they roll. Most Amiga games do not have disc labels that look this good.
That's true. None of them do.
Yeah,
those are great.
Yeah.
What do you think about the disc question that you posed there?
I think it's interesting because, on the one hand, there is something to be said for instant action, especially when you're pressed for time.
Oh yeah, I love some instant action.
Yeah. However, there's also something to be said for the ritual, as it were. This is the same sort of thing that when I used to collect records, I used to like. I like going over to the shelf, pulling something off the shelf, opening it up, sliding it in, or putting the record on a turntable. It's the same sort of thing. Popping that disc in the Amiga, hearing the grinding sound of the drive, hoping to God it'll load and you haven't wasted your time.
There it is.
I can see both sides. Do I want to have a big collection of floppies? No. You tried to foist that upon me years ago, and I denied it. But
stupidly,
if you have access to a printer and you can print off these sweet labels, I mean, they do look really good.
Yeah, for those listening, these are just like they look like what he's done is taken the actual box covers or box art and then made labels, and he's customized them so that they basically look like part of a set.
Right. You've got a stripe down the side, the OB strip.
Well, it's ink heavy. Yeah. The only thing I'd worry about is these things popping right off when you put them in.
Right.
But I mean, I'm guessing these discs aren't the kind you actually put in the computer.
I think these are for display.
So I think that answers my question for me. Because here's the thing. It's funny. I put a picture up on Facebook and in Discord this week. I went up. I was amassing an Amiga fighting force of extraordinary magnitude, and I took all my disk drives and stacked them into one big stack. I got a 5 1/4 inch, and I've got 3.5 inches of different sizes. Mm-hmm. So it's a big, massive floppy tower of certain depth, right? And I looked at these drives and all their majesty, and it occurred to me that I hadn't had any of these hooked up for years. And it was good. I smiled because using discs is a step up from tape, but still. The moment where you try to load something for a few minutes and then he goes and it makes that noise, the noise of certain death.
Yep.
You're boned.
It's
on
over.
Tapes, you don't even get that. It just goes and you hear it click and it says IO failure, whatever it says. Mm-hmm. Then you're boned, right? I don't like those. I don't got time to sit around for 5 minutes waiting for something to load. And then hey, look at bar games. Perfect example. Right in the middle of my cool review, bam, disc 3 failure, screwed. That's why the GoTech is gold, right? And the WHD loads are gold. I love them. Or the SD solutions are gold. I'm not saying never use discs, and I have to admit I do like to hear the sound of the thing loading. It's one of the things I like about the GoTech, and certain, like I've got a soft spot for the way Atari discs load. They sound really. I just like that noise.
It sounds like Mars, the bringer of war.
And so there's a beepy. It's beepy.
Yeah, it's beepy.
Also the Amiga is more grindy, and the PC is somewhere more like staccato grinding. You know, so each one has their own thing.
Espresso grind.
So sometimes it's fun, but it's not. I would not want to go back to tapes, floppies in any way.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, the next story on this week's Gamble Train special.
Yeah.
We're back looking at our buddies Amiga Bill and Guru Anthony. They had the creator of the new Rygar for the Amiga, the now in production Rygar Pro. Actually, I guess it's already finished because
it's out.
This thing, yeah, they've made boxes. I know that I think that Neil, who's with us in the chat right now, aka Indie Retro News, was one of the recipients of one of only 10 boxed copies that will ever be made of
he
this
should
game.
Be, because that's the first place I heard of this and almost every other thing that we...
Yeah. So what do you think about artificially constraining production of boxed software?
Well, I believe, first of all, that you can go download this for free.
Right.
So there's that. Also, as it was pointed out in Discord, and of course, since you took great pleasure in hounding me about my Altered Beast failure, this is only for AGA machines, my friend. It took AGA to make this happen. So remember that next time you're bad-mouthing the elite chipset that was AGA.
I'll remember that. Look, Bill was drinking fancy water right there.
Oh, man.
We're one and the same.
You and Bill
Bill.
You guys are both fancy boys. So anyways, I don't think it's bad in this case because I think these are more like honorary copies. I doubt this fellow is charging $2,000 a hit. You know, if you listen to if you know about modern software, a lot of it doesn't come in a box set, and so what they're doing is there's a company that goes out and generates boxed disc versions of modern games, like for the Switch and stuff. And they purposely, artificially, usually pre-sell out everything they've got, and so all their prices are ridiculous. It's stupidly
and then on
insane.
The secondary market, they're up too.
Right, and so I don't think that's what's happening here. I don't know what's going on with the box company. Only 10, but it sounds like when you limit it to 10, you know, unless he's making, first of all, he's giving out his game for nothing. We know he's been working on this for years.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the giving out the game is just as a nod and a wink to his buddies or helped him out or whatever. I don't have any problem with it because he's giving away a game that they obviously spent a ton of time on, and it looks outstanding. It looks really good. Good point. Thumbs up, by the way, for. I mean, we always talk about, well, can the Amiga get some love in the with some homemade new stuff? And I mean, we've been getting it. Worthy and this that Streets of Rage clone that's coming out, and you know some other great stuff that we've talked about. So now we're finally getting the floodgates are opening, hopefully.
Yeah. Up next, Aaron, this is something that greatly excited me.
Oh, I know about this.
Our buddy Retro Man Cave, he is giving back. He gives back all the time.
He does.
He is giving back to the community by producing a new calendar for 2020. And
look what's on the cover of that calendar.
That
could be straight from my house right there.
It looks just like the
I've got that monitor, I've got the Amiga 1000, and I've got that disk drive right there. Beautiful.
Yeah. This calendar is all for charity. It benefits the Bluebell Wood Children's Hospice, a noble cause for sure. Retro Man Cave solicited photos from anyone that would like to contribute a photo. And I was on the cusp of submitting one until I had the good fortune of looking at some of the other ones that were submitted, and then I just turned the camera off.
You've got a nice camera.
Well, you can have a nice camera, but you got to have the skill to go with it. These guys really did a great job. I wish that there were some more pictures of the...
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
what is that?
That looks like a cool little dude.
Oh, it's the brain. Okay.
You know what that is?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
I've never seen one of those.
Yeah. So if you are in need of a calendar for 2020, I highly encourage you to go on over to Etsy and just search for Retro Man Cave, and it should pop right up. It's also in our show notes, which is on a link on the podcast. I should start putting the show notes on a link in the YouTube video too. That would probably be smart. Moving
Good
on.
luck, Retro. That's a good. We love the charities. That's great.
There's Rygar's not the only new game in town, Aaron.
All right.
Well, this is not really a new game, so I guess Rygar really is the only new game in town.
And Rygar's not new either. Keep going.
Gold
Keep digging.
Rush, Aaron. Yeah. This is there's a new company out there, Sunlight Games,
all right,
that are kicking off their new label with reissuing classic Amiga games in boxed form.
All right.
Okay?
Ooh, look at that. But
so this is hashtag bring back the feelies. Okay?
Yeah, I'm for that.
This is a game that I'd never heard of. Have you ever heard of this game?
Gold Rush? Doesn't ring a bell.
I guess,
is it an old Sierra game?
Yeah, it's a Sierra game.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I have heard of it.
I've never played this before, but it comes with the full color map. And it looks like a stock certificate of some kind, because it's the Gold Rush and everything.
It's got stickers and crap in there. Yeah, this looks good. This reminds me of the Defender of the Crown.
Exactly. Hopefully these guys will be a little bit faster on the old delivering of the product.
Pre-order. Oh boy.
So this is currently, you can pre-order it for €24.99.
Is that for the box?
That's for the box.
Well, that's not bad.
No, it's very reasonable. Very reasonable.
Now, I wonder,
and that comes with the discs and everything.
You may not know this boat because I know you're not the guy. So, but I mean, is this like, how's this? Is this like a Sierra good to go with this, or whoever owns their property?
My guess is that they consulted them. If they didn't, that would have been quite the oversight.
Yeah, because I mean, I will say that's awesome.
And they are going with this game versus a game like King's Quest or something. So maybe Sierra said, "We'll let you have this one. If it does okay, maybe we'll give you one of the big dogs."
I don't know who doesn't Activision own Sierra's properties. It may want to. If anybody knows who owns their stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure who owns Sierra.
But this is smart. But I'll tell you why. We just talked about the fact that you can't get box games anymore hardly. There's always a big retro craze. You've got if someone asks you to license some of their old properties so they could do something like this, you're literally there's no possible way you're going to lose money. Mm-hmm. It's not like there was big clamoring for the Gold Rush property, right?
It's a win-win for everybody.
We get a cool box with feelies. These guys get to make a buck, and if they do a good job, it looks like that. From what I'm looking at, it's looking pretty solid. It looks like it comes with a CD and discs. So it sounds a little bit like that Defender of the Crown. And Defender of the Crown the Cinemaware had a good thing going. They shot themselves in the foot and they ate up a lot of their goodwill because of the way that. And I think part of it was because of depleted help, and it was a one-man operation. Right. It was tough because Sven was really working hard. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if these guys get their pre-orders together, they get it ready to go, they ship it. They build up some goodwill. You could make some easy money down the line just by licensing all these. Because again, this is one I hadn't heard of, but I have heard of a lot of their games, and a lot probably didn't get released on the Amiga, some of their later stuff, and it would be cool to send it over.
2 points of real-time follow-up from the chat. Terror K says that Sierra did get merged into Activision in 2008.
I thought so.
And Ricky says that he believes that the rights to Gold Rush have reverted back to their creators.
Oh, sweet. Hey, that's even better.
Yeah,
that's
more money
great.
For them.
That's even better.
Less money for Activision, they've got plenty of money.
That's great work. So I really will be watching this with a lot of interest.
Yeah.
And does it have a shipping date, Bo? Did they mention when they were going to plan on shipping it?
Looks like to be released on December 10th, 2019.
Holy smokes! So just in 2 months.
Yeah, pretty cool. And that comes for us through Indie Retro News.
We may have to pick that up, Bo. Yeah. We may have to jump in on that and see how. Because that sounds like something we could get into.
A couple more stories here, Aaron. Kim Justice is soliciting people who are into the Amiga scene. She is currently making a documentary about the Amiga and Atari demo scene. She's posted on Twitter. She says, "Hit me up if you got experience and you don't mind being on camera." She's looking for people that are at the Play Expo Blackpool, which is going on this weekend. So if you're listening live and plan on going over there tomorrow, you've got scene experience. If you've got a cracking experience, if you are a raver. I know you.
I'm all those things, man. And I wish I was in Blackpool. That'd be awesome.
Would be.
Although if I was in Europe this weekend, because isn't this the weekend of the big throwdown in Germany? It is, isn't it?
It is.
Was it Amiga 34?
Amiga 34.
Man, that was bad timing for.
Yeah, Play Expo Blackpool should have.
Because I don't think Play Expo, Roy. I don't think Amiga is a big draw there.
Well, I mean, I'd say it's a minor draw.
Yeah.
It's a much larger event than just for the Amiga for sure. But anyway, if you want to get on the next Kim Justice joint, then make sure you find her over at Play Expo Blackpool.
I don't know if you've got this in your news about what the video she released this week. But it was her 100 favorite Amiga games. Walt, did you have a look at this?
I saw it come by my feed.
I haven't got to flip through it yet.
I watched her Spectrum video on the same thing though.
I want to, but she always does great stuff. I love her wrestling stuff too, as I've mentioned. But yeah, the Spectrum was good, and I just caught a little bit of the Amiga one. And it looks great, so I recommend that as well.
And finally, Aaron, the calendar, the pages of the calendar have been ripping off in fast motion, just like they do on TV. It's already time for another NOG meetup. As we know, NOG stands for Nespresso Amigo Users Group. They are Norway's greatest and best and first fans of the Amiga.
Number one.
Yeah. Retrobit Fix. They've retitled I don't know if they've retitled their meeting or their group name, but they keep both logos on there just as not to confuse people. But if you want to hang out with a bunch of cool dudes, Figgy's always in the house. Reflection, founder of the Norwegian demo scene. Edvin Helland is here. Look at this. Look at these guys.
Look at all the facial hair in this picture.
If you're living in Norway, you need that to keep you warm.
I'd be ready to go over there.
Yeah.
I'd have to grow some actual hair though to make it. I'd get one of those big Russian hats. You know what I'm talking about?
They'd welcome you with open arms in Norsk for sure.
I don't think I can make it up there though. I'm not a cold type.
Yeah, you are. You prefer the heat.
That's true.
And that's going to do it, Aaron. That's this week's roundup of Amiga news and community events.
We probably should mention, and we sort of touched on it a minute ago, this is going to be a huge weekend. All eyes turn to Germany. I don't know exactly where in Germany the event's occurring, but this is the big Amiga 34, where they're going to be, among other things, they're going to be releasing the standalone Vampire.
Yeah, that's going to be. I'll be interested. I know that Ravi and Dan are over there.
I know. I'm sure some of our Discord buddies, I'm sure at least one or two are going to pick one of these up if they can. I've heard a lot of people on the Facebook forums and in Discord talk about grabbing one of these things, and it'll be interesting to see how many they've got. People more than knowing me, or people that kept their hand on the pulse more, they may know the numbers of what they're bringing. I don't know how many they're bringing to the thing, but and there's going to be some other stuff debuted there as well. So this is going to be a monster event that I'm anxious to see some footage from when it goes down. And hopefully everyone is happy and go lucky, and hopefully there's no vampire throwdowns where they're trying to either get a vampire or stomp a vampire, depending on their perspective in the whole vampire situation. But I'll be interested to see what happens this weekend. So, hey, listen, this is the most Amiga jack at one of these things probably for quite a while. It's funny how these user groups are thriving. And their Amiga's getting all kinds of videos made. There's new hardware. It's a real thriving deal now. It's very bizarre. It's funny, in the 5 or so years we've been doing this, there was a little, and then every year it's built up, and now it's just almost like a frenzy of activity.
It is.
Makes it a lot easier to do the news, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We'd have to cover the Defender of the Crown thing every week, or
any week we don't have to talk about the keycaps again. It's a good week.
Man, we drained those topics dry, didn't we, Bo?
Yeah, man. All right, let's dive right into our public domain selections for this week, Aaron.
It's a pool about like that big.
We're going to talk about Wormtris first.
Okay.
Let's lead the charge with Wormtris.
I'm going to give you what I got, Bo. So, this is our 73rd public domainia. And so
we've done almost as many of these as we have pinball specials.
Yeah, in fact, I actually just released this show into the public domain when this is all said and done. So let's talk about Wormtris. Now, Wormtris has a couple interesting firsts for me. All right, this has got to be, if not the first, one of the first games we've ever covered that is not on Lemon.
Yeah. It's the first game I've ever seen that we covered that hasn't been on Lemon.
This is so public domain and rare. Now, I will say it does have a video. I've found one video. You're showing it.
I'm showing it.
We're showing it right now. As I recall, it had like 50 hits.
Yeah.
And it's been out for years. So it's not a popular watch. This is a game that came out in 1997 on a disc. In fact, it was on the Amiga format issue 99B disc from July of 1997.
Okay.
And there's a reason I know all of that now. This, again, was a budget release, or excuse me, a public domain shareware, technically. And it was coded by a fellow named Jay Vanderberg, or his cool guy name, Entity, spelled super duper cool guy style with capital letters every once in a while.
There's a couple numbers thrown in.
Oh, man. You know you're cool when you can pull that off. Look at that.
Yeah.
And ECS, OCS stuff. So, what is Wormtris? Well, have you ever heard of a game called Tetris?
Yes.
It is slightly similar to that. It's that, pretty much, except so a couple added things. Now, I played this game, and the first go around, you're just like, okay, this is exactly like Tetris, except for there's a lot of cool guy explosion noises in it.
Right. Every time you place a piece, it sort of sounds like the Depeche Mode album Construction Time again.
Oh, there you go. You hate Depeche Mode, don't you, bro?
Yes.
So, as you go forward, if you look to the side of the screen, it's got some of the stuff you expect in a Tetris game. You got your next piece block.
Yep.
You've got how many lines you've got going. You've got what level you're on. But then it's got kills and cash. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to try to tell you what this is as best as I can.
Okay.
Do you know exactly what those lines are?
No.
Okay.
I look forward to your explanation.
I could find no documents on this. And now I did find a place that used to have them, but they're no longer there, and there was no cache for that place. So I couldn't actually read the documents for this, and if they had any. All I know is the file was there. I had a heck of a time running this, to be honest with you. Finding and running it. So occasionally you will see a couple different things fall down on top of that aren't pieces. And one of them is worms. And the other thing, I'm not 100% sure what it is.
It's a sheep.
A sheep, okay. Because it doesn't really baa or anything. I never heard any sheep noise.
No, but it's Wormtris, and it's doing the thing that sheep do in worms.
Okay, that makes sense to me now, because it basically explodes.
Yeah.
Now, another thing you'll notice is that sometimes the pieces come down with question marks or like a times number on the top of them, and what this means is basically they will score more. It's a bonus, right? Yeah. And so and that's something.
It's something.
You know, that's something that it does. Now, what you could basically do is when your worm drops down, they're just one, and the sheep as well. They just basically take up one square, and so you basically fit them in as pieces effectively. But except they don't go away necessarily when you complete the line.
Exactly.
You have to basically kill. You kill the sheep, sort of explodes, but the worm you have to basically
crush it.
Smush.
Yeah.
And then you get a kill. That's where your kill number comes from. Now, the cash number, I didn't get any cash until well into the game, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100%. I think it's a certain amount of lines you get at once, or sort of. Could you want to try that out?
No, because I have no idea either. I don't know how the cash falls into it.
Yeah, it's very goofy. Now, all that said, it's actually a decent little game. I mean, it's Tetris with a couple gimmicks in there. That's the game. I mean, and I played it for. It's not hard, is it?
No. The hardest part was getting it installed.
Getting it installed, although it was not. It was number 2 compared to the other game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had a harder time with this one than Megaball.
But yeah, it was not the easiest thing, and really I had to kind of hunt it down too. But I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about this thing. I think the bonus score feature it's something. It depends. You know, a lot of people that play Tetris are sort of purists. And you've got all these other kind of wacky versions of Tetris. You got Weltris and also the crazy stuff, Hatris. But those are radically different than Tetris, sort of. This isn't radically different at all. This is basically Tetris with a couple gimmicks, and the gimmicks aren't. I mean, assuming that nothing else shows up in the later levels that I didn't know about, like nothing really blew my mind. What did you think about it?
It's a decent Tetris 2 clone. Did you ever play Tetris 2?
What was it on?
It was on everything.
Tetris 2. What are the differences? Because I don't remember.
Okay, well, Tetris 2 has bombs in it. In fact, that was their whole advertising campaign. Is they said it's Tetris, but it's got bombs.
Okay, I have played that long. I'm not a lot, but I do remember what bombs. Yeah.
It's not a very good game compared to the original Tetris. The bombs do not add much to it. This is what this guy played Tetris 2, and he's like, man, Worms is a game that there's stuff that explodes, and we can put worms in here and add some extra mechanics. This game turned me off from the outset, and I'll tell you why.
All right.
The first thing you see is this big screen that says, if you don't pay, don't play.
Yeah, and he's asking for, was it Dutch?
Dutch Gelders.
Gelders. Okay. What a great name for the currency.
Yeah.
The Gelder.
And so, I'm sure that the great Jay Vandenberger spent tons of time working on his collection of games, but it made me wonder, on what day did the great Vandenberg create Wormtris, and why couldn't he have rested on that day?
You're burying this guy, Boat.
If you put your game out there for public domain, you should not be a jerk. You should be like, listen, if you like this game, why don't you send me some money? Don't be like, if you're not going to pay, don't play. That goes against the whole spirit of what public domain software is.
Maybe it was lost in translation.
It was written in English.
I'm trying to stand up for the guy. Listen, it is listed as shareware. So that means
there was no shareware. That was a different term. Didn't you listen to all the folks on the Discord? That was an MS-DOS term. They didn't have that on the Amiga.
Well, clearly, this is listed as shareware on Hall of Light, so they must have had some. But I mean, normally when you play shareware, it doesn't threaten you or badmouth you.
Yeah.
As a start. No, but I mean, yeah, I did see that. It did strike me as amusing. And that is the first thing you see in big, huge letters. But anyway, I played it anyway.
If I didn't have to play this game, I would have turned it off immediately.
I'm going to send the guy some Gelders. Not really. I just wanted to say Gelders. But is it Gelders? Did I get that right?
That was he's the football announcer, Frank Gelder.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The explosion noises and stuff, what'd you think of those? They're right. I thought that's kind of funny.
It's like, let's load up the old BBC library of sound effects and then pop something in here. It's the same thing you get on tons of Amiga games.
Well, I mean, we can sample stuff on here. That's what they're saying. It works. It works good. Now listen, it's a very slight Tetris clone. That's all there is to it. But
I will say this: the pieces fall like. They call it V1 Tetris, or the original. There's no infinite spin. There's no Z. There's no Z spin. The pieces when they fall and then they drop, and that's where they are. They do include the piece that's coming up next. There's no hold. There's just so many versions of Tetris out there. In '97, I'm sure that the Amiga scene was sort of desperate for new titles, and so maybe this guy was trying to capitalize on that. It was on the cover of Amiga format, if surely there is a better Tetris clone. Although maybe this is it, because this was better than Chalktris. Chalktris was truly horrible.
Didn't we try Weltris?
No, we tried.
What was the one we tried on the Amigathon? Didn't we play? We played Weltris on there. And it's again that was
one of those
version.
Early morning games.
That was Grumpy Boat time. I mean, I've played much worse versions of Tetris than this. I mean, it's
sure.
Listen, if you want to sit down and play go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to take back what I said about Chalktris. Chalktris is a new game. We played another, and I did that on a stream. I think that we played another version of Tetris that was not as good as this one.
Well, I don't think, did we ever play one as an official episode? I can't remember.
Think so. Maybe we just played it on Amiga and things.
Like I said, this is totally competent as a Tetris. If you don't mind a little bit of goofiness, and you're not playing really for points, because I mean I don't know how the points work, but if I was a traditionalist and you're getting random point stuff, that could get weird.
Yeah.
You might not like that. So it's plain Jane. There's nothing astounding that I saw. Again, I didn't play this thing for 3 hours, so maybe as you get into it for a while.
Yeah, the bottom line is the new mechanics that are introduced. They don't improve the core game of Tetris, which by itself is pretty much perfect as it is. It's hard to improve on perfection.
That's true. That's true. So I didn't play this a lot. So full disclosure, I just didn't see the need.
I also like the fact that the pieces are nicely colored. They're colored pastel. You could easily do this and make all the pieces the same color.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a competent version of Tetris with a wacky thing. And the cache, I was wondering if maybe at some point there'd be some kind of store or something, but I mean, I never got there.
0% chance there's an in-game store.
And here's the thing. So
Wormtris.
There's only the one video. Now, I played further in than the video, all right?
I played as long as I could.
I think he
Nothing
played.
changed.
Oh, gosh, I played for a long, long time. Yeah, but the guy in the video gave up. Because I thought, well, this guy's video, he didn't play it that long, but I did. So I know you're better at Tetris than I am. So I'm assuming if there was something special to be seen, you would have seen it.
Yeah, and the thing is, the reason why this is not going to appeal to people that are really serious about Tetris is because it doesn't control it doesn't control accurately enough to reflect the original Tetris, and it doesn't give you any of the quality of life improvements that newer versions of Tetris give you.
There you go.
However, for a Tetris game on the Amiga, pretty good.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to go crazy for it.
Yeah.
I'd say meh. It's a solid meh.
Yeah. Let's talk about Megaball, Aaron.
All right, man. So now this one I actually had played back in the day. So this one I had experience with. Megaball. Now I picked Megaball 4, which that seems to be because that's the last version that was released, and I did play the AGA version.
I think it's
with
only AGA.
all the cool colors and everything. The colors, children. 3 discs, Boat, and I know that for a fact because I had to install this on the hard drive.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I didn't like to do that.
No.
You know.
Why didn't you go with the WHD?
I couldn't get it to work right, so I installed it. So on my hard drive now, I got that. This has 2-player support, but it's hot seat. That was kind of disappointing. I was hoping it'd have simultaneous, so I tried it. It doesn't. This was done by the Mackey boys, Ed and Al Mackey. Ed did the coding, and Al did the music and graphics. There are multiple versions of this game, ranging from version 4 all the way down to the original version, and there is a flavor for all the chipsets. So you can play this with your old Amiga. I'm pretty sure the AGA version, I'm pretty sure you can play it on non-AGA machines. Just I don't know if it's a separate version. I didn't try it, so okay. I used my 1200. So what is Megaball? Well, you ever heard of a game called Arkanoid, Boat?
I have.
You ever heard of a game called Breakout,
yes.
Super Breakout, or many of its games? This is basically like Super Duper Arkanoid 2000. You are a paddle, you whack a ball up in the air, and you try to blow up all the weird shapes and colors that you see up there. And occasionally when you blow one up, a wacky power up or power down will come down at you that you want to grab or not grab accordingly.
Right.
I mean, they did not reinvent the wheel here, much like the last game. They said, hey, Arkanoid's fun. How about let's do that? And they did it. You've got a slew. I mean, what makes these games fun? It's the weird power up.
Right.
And there's so many, I had to actually print a little picture here so I could tell you what some of them are.
I thought that was, by the way, we should mention it's a nice touch at the beginning of the game on the title screen. They give you the power-ups and what they do. Right.
So what you get here, here are your various power-ups. You've got slow ball. You've got the lasers, my personal favorite. I think everybody likes the lasers. You've got the gimmick where you can catch the ball and hold it. You've got a gimmick that gives you an extra life. You've got a deal that make your paddle larger. You also got a thing that makes it go through bricks easier. You've also got the bad stuff that makes your paddle smaller, stuff that makes you basically instantly die.
Just an instant death.
And I've noticed those instant death ones are a lot all over the place.
They drop fairly frequently.
There's also one that if you get it, it blows up all the gold bricks on the screen, which that's pretty handy. So there's quite a few of these. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 12, 14 of these things. There's a lot of them. And by the way, the little screen is helpful, but good luck memorizing those. You just have to play it about 1 million times.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, not 1 million times, but if you play it a couple times, you'll learn.
Now, there are 20 unique tunes in here. I say unique as they are different. They vary in quality. I don't think none of them were brutally offensive.
No.
But they were okay. You know what it reminded me of was the tunes in Lemmings. None of them are going to blow your mind, but they're tunes. They're in there, and they're okay.
Anytime that there's background music in an Amiga game, I get out of my chair and I do a little dance.
You got to have background music for a game like this.
You've got to.
You got to. Now, with all that out of the way, what did you think of this game, and how do you rate it amongst your favorite? Do you like these sorts of games, by the way?
Well, I think just like this is very unlike Wormtris, in that Wormtris didn't really, in my opinion, didn't do much to improve on the overall fun factor of the game that it was inspired by. This game is probably my favorite Breakout clone ever. This game is great. The power-ups are graphical. They're not letters that fall down. The stage shapes are interesting. I like the fact that there are like sort of like smart bombs that destroy a particular kind of brick. I thought the music was good. I like the fact that there's a billion boards. Everything about this was fantastic. Everything. So I thought this game was great. I will be playing it more. I like Breakout Arkanoid style games anyway. I thought that the mouse control felt just right. It didn't feel too loosey-goosey. It didn't feel like it was too sensitive. Everything about this I really, really enjoyed. I do think, as some people mentioned on the Discord, I think we'll talk about it on the reviews, this should not have been an AGA release. I mean, they could have easily done this on OCS, CCS.
Well, they did. They released it on everything. I think there's version 4s. I think you can play these on the non-AGA.
All right, hold on just a second. I really got to pee. I drank too much fancy water.
What? I'm guessing you paused the show at this point. Okay.
That's OBS. Thank you for putting in a pause button there.
You should have said something like, "My souffle is ready."
That's right.
That way, that's less humiliating. I don't think this has ever happened during the show. Congratulations. So, has anyone here, since we've got this spare moment? Yeah, Neil, I saw what you were saying there. I'm sorry it took me so long to say hi. Has anyone in here played Wormtris? I mean, actually played it? Because it must be incredibly... oh, God, Curtis. Jeez. Yeah, exactly. Has anyone actually played this game? Does anyone remember buying the magazine it was on to play it? Because I would love to know if it gets better. That's the one thing that kept haunting me. I hate to think that I maybe missed some cool aspect of it later on. I just can't figure out why there's a store in there without some the ability to do something with that money. You know, maybe they just put it in there for fun, but I don't know. But I would actually be interested in knowing if there was more to it than that. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's hard to get real fired up to keep playing it to see if there's anything cool, you know. Hey, Boat.
Yeah.
Curtis said you're stopping the stream to stream.
Oh yeah, that's a
Bam.
zinger. They call it a zinger.
He got you right there.
He did.
Now what? You're going right back to the fancy water?
Fancy water.
What's going on tomorrow? You gotta get some stuff out of your system.
Oh yeah, that's true. I do have the old drug test. I've been heavily using all these substances.
Man, that explains.
I was going to say I'm taking my students to a band festival tomorrow.
Oh my
That's
God!
what's going on tomorrow.
Oh man!
You want to join me? It's going to be a
Oh
lot
God,
of fun.
no!
I know you always loved band competitions.
Oh man, the worst. Although at least when we won, it was okay. But
all right, so we're back on in 3. So just pick it up with your thoughts on the game.
All right. So
wait a minute. Did that actually do anything? Yeah. Oh yeah, we're recording. All right, go ahead.
So I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you on some of the things you said here. I didn't. It's funny. I played this game back today. I remember liking it. I was kind of excited to play it again. And the more I played it, the less I enjoyed it.
Really?
One of the main problems this game has is the setup of the screen. He has the blocks right down on top of you. And those first few launches the ball, I mean, it's insta death over and over.
Is true.
If you play a game like let's think about Arkanoid and Arkanoid Revenge of Doe, which are the two, those are the games that people cite as being the big players, right? Those were vertical games, which means the monitor was turned on its side, so you had a lot of real estate there for the ball to travel, and you could line these shots up. This game, you have practically, some of the levels you are literally boxed in from above, and you can barely move.
It does turn it into more of a strategy game where the first you can't just let the ball fly. You have to study the stage, figure out where can I go to make some room, and then go from there.
Yeah, and it's just that I didn't like that aspect. I prefer having some distance. It also adversely affects the drop down goodies. Because number one, you don't have that much time to get to them, and they have the death goodies sprinkled in there too much. That death goodie come down a lot,
it does.
And a lot of times you're boned.
You can't avoid it
because it's coming down where the ball's at, or you've got to go through where it's at, and you just eat it. And so I found the game too difficult, to be honest with you. That was a real pain for me. I mean, I do like some of the pictures he comes up with the blocks. I think they're pretty clever. I think a lot of the things he has coming out of them, the goodies, are pretty good. You know, there's plenty of them to choose from. So there's a lot of it that I like. But for me, it's just the overall makeup of the structure of the game that I just think is flawed. And so that meant it took away from my enjoyment of everything else. And that made me not like it that much. I mean, if I'm going to play a game like this, I need more space. And how do you accomplish that when you don't have a vertical monitor? You just have to use you have to make the bricks smaller, or you have to make the pictures less amazing, and you have to give your player a little distance. You know.
Yeah, I mean, this is accomplished on almost all versions of Arkanoid by just artificially making the screen vertical and decreasing the size of everything.
Right, and so when you have this Amiga version where you can do that, because we've seen it done on here with the scoreboards off to the side or whatever. That's how I would have went. Now, they chose to go this way, and I think the reason they did was because they wanted to have these beautiful, multicolored structures that were awesome looking. And I will say, once you get enough bricks out of your way to where it's not insta-death, there's some fun to be had. But still, when the ball really gets cooking, it's so fast, it's really difficult. I struggled to get far. It's got a continue feature, which I used a lot. But to me, that was an aspect that I just couldn't get over. It was just too close to the bottom.
It would have been nice if this game would have had a Sailor Man-esque option screen where you could turn off and on some of the items, or really like Breakout or Dynablaster or whatever that PD clone that was, where you have basically infinite options to turn on or off any of the items, any of the drops. You play with no drops if you want. That would add some replayability, and also, like you said, you would get rid of those insta-death things.
I will say the Mackies did include something very good, and I read that this was an option that was, at first it was only for people that had bought the license, but eventually with the fourth release, they just made it part of the overall free release, and that's a level editor. So you could actually go in here, which admittedly I did not try the level editor. I'm not necessarily good at that sort of thing, but I guess if you don't like these close-up puzzles, you could go in there and make everything set higher on the screen. So, but I would kind of like to have seen that done beforehand. I'm pretty sure you can go through here and screw around with the music if you want to change the music.
Well, even if you did that, it would make the game way too easy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it...
Because if you put everything up at the top of the screen and leave the size of your paddle the way it is, you'll catch the ball.
Well, yeah. It would be easier. And when the ball gets going pretty quick, it can get... I thought it got pretty difficult.
Oh, yeah, but that's Arkanoid. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, but you've got more space to make it to where the ball's coming is the difference. I will say the mouse as a controller, of course, this is a sort of thing, but like it works well.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, even though I'm a huge fan of Arkanoid, I really don't like controlling it with the spinner. I'd much rather control it with a mouse.
Oh, I'd rather have the spinner. The spinner's awesome, but you have to get one. One of the downfalls of Arkanoid in the arcade, Revenge of Doe, is the fact that those spinners often weren't in real good shape.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got to get one, I mean, if you ever played when I think of the game that had the all-time finest spinner, it would be Tempest. And when you found one that had the properly aligned, properly tuned up spinner, you could spin that thing and it would spin like a motor. You know, and that's what you need. You need something that's well kept. I noticed a lot of the machines I played in the arcade. I don't know, have you played a lot of Arkanoid or paddle games in the arcade?
I almost bought an Arkanoid when I bought the Mario Brothers.
That would be a good choice. I mean, because if you don't get bored with those, there's it's sort of infinite replay.
Right. I chose to get the Mario Brothers instead, but yeah, I would like to have one of those machines, and I would probably get used to the spinner fairly quickly.
Yeah. Now, I'll mention this in a second, but I should mention that this was listed as having a compilation called the Megaball Deluxe CD. Okay.
Yeah, this was on the CD32.
Now, I looked to see what was included on this CD, and from what I could tell, Megaball 4. That's it.
That's
so the
it.
compilation is this one game.
I think I'm thinking of something different. I don't think this got a CD32 release.
Wait,
I don't think there was
it's
any
a
PD
deluxe
stuff
CD
on.
release. So if it was on CD, it probably would have worked on the. But I mean, I couldn't find a picture of this. I couldn't find anyone that owned it, so it could be who knows what. Believe it or not, I found. I should mention this for the other game as well. I found both these games on eBay. Believe it or not.
Did you?
Yes. Well,
Unbelievable.
They're on eBay with a butt. So Wormtris. If you want to own Wormtris, you can go to eBay and buy the Amiga format disc 99B from the July 1997 cover of Amiga format. Right now, you can buy it for $4.80 US. So you can go get this now. There's a fella, an American fellow, who is selling Megaball on eBay right now. Now, before you get your checkbook out, all right, he wants $39. The disc is a copied disc, and I say disc because it's only got one disc, and he hasn't checked it, but he's pretty sure it works. And right now, $39 takes it to the house. So
wow.
if you want,
what a bargain!
If you want to gamble, I just thought of all the games that would be listed. These are both listed on eBay.
Wow.
There was reviews of Megaball, and it was the Lemon review. Lemon gives this 7.57 votes. So
really?
Not too bad.
We did have some thoughts from our illustrious Discord community. This week we had quite a few reviews. We're going to start things off with Graham W. Vebke.
Of course, the master of reviews.
His Wormtris review says, "Yay, another Tetris clone." Tries to change the formula and fails. Perhaps I'm a Tetris snob and spoilt by Tetris DX, but I will never play this again. Tetris DX, the ultimate Tetris game. Megaball AGA review from Graham. Yay, another Breakout clone. Also tries to change the formula, and while I enjoy the Arkanoid series of Breakout clones the most, this is a decent Breakout clone on the Amiga for me. Music was okay, but got annoying after a while, but I would play this PD title again. 6 out of 10.
Yep.
Chris Folds says, Wormtris is an abomination of a Tetris clone. Competes only with Top Banana for the worst Amiga game. 1 out of 10.
Folds is not pulling any punches.
No. Megaball, he says, terrible sound effects, average controls. It's why AGA only is beyond me, and it looks like it was made for the Tatung Einstein.
Oh, man.
An acceptable Breakout clone for an 8-bit machine, but not AGA hyped. The floppy disk it came on would contribute more karma of the earth by being used as a coaster. 4 out of 10.
3 coasters.
Biggie CTZ writes, in hindsight, this may not be a classic Amiga title, but for me it holds a huge place in my heart. Megaball is probably the first casual gaming experience I had, because this was my go-to when I was tired of playing more complex games and something I could play in between rendering graphics or making music. Arkanoid was the other Breakout clone I played, but it cannot compare to Megaball AGA. It had great mechanics, fun levels, colorful graphics, and good music. I can't really think of anything that could improve it. I could even launch it from Workbench and go right back to what I was doing without a reboot. Not a classic, but still a solid game. 7 out of 10. And finally, Pack Billy writes, Megaball AGA was my go-to Breakout clone on my 1200 and 4000 back in the day. I was a sucker for anything AGA in those days, though why it needed to be AGA is beyond me.
Awesomeness.
While not up to the standard of Arkanoid 2 on the C64, it was a fun diversion when I had a hankering to move my mouse to the left and right, clicking occasionally. All right, so we thank our Discord community, as always, for providing those reviews.
A deep sigh.
A deep sigh.
That was it. You had as a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Those were 2, let's say, middle-of-the-road PD titles.
Yeah, I would call them both middle of the road, not terrible, but they're no hanger 18.
You're not gonna go full folds on them.
No, I won't go full folds. All right, Aaron, you want to give everybody a little peek at what's been going on our Amigos Retro Gaming YouTube channel this week?
Sure, yeah. Let's have a look, Boatster. So let's start at the beginning here, Boat. Now we recorded last week, and then immediately it was time for the big recording, Boat, and that was, and by big I mean the least attended Taze Valley Computer Club meeting of all the times, but we had a good time. It was Taze Valley Computer Club night last Saturday, and we broadcast 4.5 hours of us screwing around and playing games. That was, and occasionally stopping to eat pizza.
It was a glorious night.
It was glorious, actually. We played, gosh, we must have played 2.5 hours with Coco, and we played. We attempted to play some C64 with Boat's tape drive is Tapioca, and then we started the night off with some Atari 8-bit action. We had a good time.
Yeah.
We got nothing accomplished from in terms of computer repair, but we had a good time playing games. So if you want to see me, the Brent, Terry, and the Boat sit around here, eat pizza, and play games for 4.5 hours, there you go. I was thinking about it. We did about with the Coco show last week. We did how many? It was about 3 hours Friday, 4.5 hours Saturday, and I was in for another hour and a half on Sunday. So I had a lot of on-screen time.
Yeah, man.
No one needs to see me for that long.
Yeah,
in
they
these
do.
circumstances.
But we do the Taze Valley Classic Computer Club every Saturday, the first Saturday of the month, every month. So first Saturday of November, we'll be back at it. Aaron is going to bring some of his projects. John Marshall, I'm sure, will be back with us.
Hopefully.
Hopefully he'll be able to
He
get
got
off
screwed
work.
this time, yeah.
The Chud, Matt. Hopefully we'll have a bigger crew around next time.
Yeah, the Chud is convalescing. I talked to him last night, and good luck, Chad, on your recovery.
Yeah. All right. What else went on, Aaron? Did we talk about Dunk's video from last week, the Pinball Dreams video?
If we didn't, let's talk about it now because it's become quite a popular release, and it's super, super glorious video. The Dunk has done it again, and he has got a comparison video up here for the new release of the Amstrad Pinball Dreams, done by the Batman group.
Batman team.
The Batman group, and the Batman group have went bananas. This is particularly golden for me because it's funny how things go, Boatster. We spun the wheel and made the on ARG last week, and it was chat choice. And what did the chat want to see? They wanted to see games from the Amstrad. So I actually chose this as my game this week just so I could sit down and play a lot. I'm not going to give my full view here, but let's just say it was happening. But the Amstrad has really got a real winner here, and this is a great video. He did a great job, didn't he?
Yeah. It's amazing the power of the CPC. I don't know anything about the CPC, but from the screenshots and the videos that I've seen of other games, very few look this good. This is another case of having the hardware in the hands of the right programmers. It's a very impressive release that compares favorably with the Amiga version.
And I'll also say that from what I heard, they said that the big limitation on the CPC version was the memory. They said, really, this was only using about 50% of the processing power that the Amstrad has to offer.
Wow.
So I don't think the Amstrad was ever fully. It was a port machine.
Yeah.
And that was not to its best interest, that's for sure.
No.
But anyway, this is a really good video. So check out the Dunk's offering. It's very good stuff. We might as well talk about last week's ARG since I mentioned it. ARG Presents last week. We did games on Steam.
Yeah.
And that was, of course, that's Brent's baby. And so we had to own the games. So it was an easy choice for me. I'm an Amiga guy, you know that. And so I had to pick, I've been wanting to talk about it for a while too. Wings Remastered was my game. And we went in on that. I love this game. I bought it pretty soon after it came out. And man, what a great job. This is what I want from my remastered games. I wanted to take a great game. You can modernize it, make it more fun to play, make it easier, but don't monkey with it, And that's what they did in this. They didn't monkey with it in any way. A beautiful, playable game that takes everything I love from Cineware Classic and brings it forward to when this was released. I believe it was around 2013. Brent's game, which I'm trying to think of, what was the name? Slay the Spire. A card offering. I think it came out about 2-3 years ago, Boat. I don't pay attention to this stuff, but apparently this game was quite a happening when it came out, and I guess it's still pretty popular. I'm not a big card guy, Boat, and I sat down and played the crap out of this, and it's really quite good.
Yeah.
I was surprised. They took something I'm not real fond of and made it pretty fun. It's easy to get into. So this was a good week of ARG games.
I actually left a review for probably the first time ever on ARG because I played quite a bit of Slay the Spire.
I couldn't believe that your name popped up there. We skipped right over that. I don't read that crap. So yeah, ARG this week we had a good time. I guess we should mention, since we taped it after we did Amigos, it was the debut episode of the Coco Show, which was we did it live last Friday, and I guess you released it, what was it, Tuesday when it came out? Boy, we had a good time with this, didn't we, both?
Yeah, we did.
We looked at a couple of Coco games, and we looked at Poltergeist, based on the film from 1982, which was a game that I played back when I was a kid, and one of the first Coco games I ever played, to be honest with you. And then we also had a look at the Sailor Man, which is a Popeye clone that the Coco did better than, I think, pretty much any other home console or computer. It killed it. You could say that maybe the NES version's right there at the top of the heap, but this has got to be at least a close second.
Especially for including all the levels and
bonus stuff.
Yeah, and bonus stuff too.
And we had a lot of fun playing these. And so the Coco Show, again, we're going to be filming these things every month. We'll come out with another one, and we will have our selection committee pick us games. They've already got us a couple lined up for next time out. We had a lot of fun. I've been spending a lot of time nosed around in the Coco community. Super nice people, and they're super helpful and super supportive. So that was awesome.
Yeah. I believe that is all of our updates. Did I miss one?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I did. Your Sailor Man video.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Sailor Man, I did like a playthrough of it. Look at how beautiful I am.
You're a beautiful man.
I'm a gorgeous individual. I played Sailor Man all the way through a couple times, and then I went through and got into the menus and changed some of the difficulty. This game really, the fellow that did it did an excellent job in including all the little tidbits from the arcade that you wouldn't know it if you didn't increase the level difficulty or just get real far in it. And so I went through and tinkered with those, and then even went and played some of the invisible levels. It was a lot of fun. So I had a real good time playing that. So we've had a lot of Popeye the last few weeks. That's for darn sure.
That's true.
Boat. Should we mention? I think is that catch everything? I think that's pretty much it, Boatster.
I think that's everything. I do want to mention that Amigos and our Sinclair and the Coco Show are all hosted at Anchor.fm. If you have had trouble getting our Sinclair this past week, if you didn't get the Chucky Egg episode, go ahead and go to Anchor.fm/our Sinclair, and the new RSS is there. With Amigos, you shouldn't have had any problems. It shouldn't have. Yeah, it might just be something as easy as unsubscribing and resubscribing. Some people even said that their podcasts are updated automatically. So I tried to make that as seamless as possible. What Anchor FM does is it allows us to put all of our episodes on the feed. We were limited to about 100 or so on the old FeedBurner feed. So now, if you would like, you can scroll through all 218 previous episodes of Amigos, plus all our episodes of Insert Disc 2. They're all at your fingertips now.
Beautiful. Well done, Boat.
Yeah.
You're a machine, sir.
Aaron, I want to thank one more person.
You're welcome, man.
I also want to thank Gary Heather for contributing to the Send Boat Back to Amiga Ireland.
I agree with that sentiment. Send him back.
GoFundMe. Thank you, Gary, for contributing. It's quite generous of you. Like I said, I for all of those people that can't make it to Amiga Ireland, I hope to give you all a front row seat through streaming the event and interviews and lots of other fun stuff. So
you've got it fully slated out this year.
I do.
It's gonna be a professional gimmick, isn't it?
Well, let's not go that far.
No, it's gonna be this. It's seamless, not a problem one.
Last week's Patreon song, Aaron. I had this was quite possibly the least amount of action we've ever gotten on the Patreon.
It was barely a song. It was more like a series of spastic noises.
I had to solicit people. I had to make them feel bad about themselves for not guessing the song. Pac Billy came to the rescue.
So you pestered Pac Billy until he said, "Here's the song."
That's right. The song last week was Octopus's Garden.
I love that song. And let me tell you, that was not that. What? Have you ever heard that song? Was it sung by an octopus?
Well, it's funny you mention that because Pac Billy writes, in addition to his correct guess, he says, Oh man, I was just sitting here humming it to myself over and over in the dark until it hit me like a ton of bricks. This was a case where your squeezing in the extra syllables of everyone's name really threw off the meter and made it tricky.
Yeah, no kidding. You know what scares me is Pac Billy sitting somewhere in a fevered state in the dark in like a fetal position, and all he's doing is humming he's humming your song. Seek assistance, Pac Billy.
He said, did you do this in honor of the new Abbey Road mixes that were just released? No. I had no idea there were.
We have no affiliation with the Beatles.
Have you listened yet? He said, listening to the iTunes previews, I feel like they castrated the drums on a few tracks. Ooh.
Typical. Yeah. Ringo never gets any love, Boat.
Well, it's funny. He says, I can't believe no one else has gotten it yet. This is the Bloody Beatles. Though, to be fair, the Ringo songs aren't as timeless. That cuts like a knife.
I disagree, my friend.
He says, my favorite Ringo song is actually Good Night off the White Album, though to be fair, it's really a John song that Ringo sings, and the George Martin arrangement is the reason I love it so much.
Wow, a true fan.
Yeah.
And you've blighted that album for him. Thank you, Boat.
I tend to think that I've taken it to a higher level.
I wouldn't think that.
An astral plane.
I agree with part of that word.
Aaron, we have a new supporter this week. We want to bring Terry Howard on board.
Terry Howard,
Amigos supporter train. Some chick.
She's the only girl that comes to ARG every week.
That's true. That's true. She's the only female present at our computer club meetings. Although Eep did come downstairs for a little bit last time. So
she got the heck out of here.
She did. She had things to do.
Yeah.
This week, Aaron, I'm taking a respite from the Patreon song for both our sake and for the listeners'
sake. You got hurt
sake.
Last week when no one guessed your tune.
I got a little hurt.
It mentally tortured you.
It got in my head. It got in my head. You know.
Are you gonna sing this like rap style?
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the names and I'm gonna read them in reverse order, because a lot of times I feel like that I hurry through the last couple names to finish a phrase.
Yeah.
This time I'm going to read them in reverse order.
You should read them completely reverse, with the last name first and everything.
Okay. I'll do it.
I was just kidding.
Barman Kjolbjorn. Dawn at Pixels. This is going to be a fun game. Warns Jason. Coles Darren. Barracuda Brutal. Bingston Daniel. Humbertstad Tom Kim. E. I might have messed that up somehow.
Yep. Keep going.
Nelson Eric, kind of like Nelson Riddle. THT, that one's a palindrome. Ronus Julo, Bradley Adam, Nan Josh, Tripped the From Tapes, Styles Duncan, Harrington Man Boss Paul, Jones Brian C.
Man Boss, I like that.
Harry, I can do the spoonerism too. Harry Gucker, Vintage
Harry Gucker,
and Retro O'Brien's. You wouldn't think this would be difficult, but it's a little challenging. Battersby Adam, Denson Lane, Vebke W. Graham, Giroux Laurent, Dreamcatcher, Folds Chris, Abbott Ravi, Hassal Christopher, 75 Blindo, Helen Edvind, Mortensen Sogard Stefan, Norris Slotha, CTZ Figgy, Boy Dead Creepy, DeRocher Ricky, Perone Matthew, Marshall John, Lord Level, Cote Check, Kebab Allen, Keelan Leaf, Cook John, Zombie the Joe,
Cook John, poor guy,
Monks Andrew, Burke Roland, Bitbark, 419 Colin, Lomax Darren, Johnzo, Craig Andy, Larimore Matthew, Nibs Howard, O'Hara Rob, Eder Kyle, Harrison Joseph, Rose Simon, Drew Tim, Caveman Retro, Quinn Bernard.
Caveman Retro, that sounds great.
Sheep Virtual Counting, Cast Retro Amiga Minute 10.
Oh, fancy.
McClellan Craig, Lobsterminator, Jones Andy, Armstrong Cameron, Pickford David, Fox Kate, Lunch Free, Harry Gether, Threepwood Deckard, W Mike, Caffeine and Kilobytes, Crispy Cap'n, Letch Simon, Reflection, Howard Terry.
Crispy Cap'n. See, that was glorious.
It was. You should give me more ideas.
Okay.
More often.
Next week, read them while you're staying on your head.
We'll see.
While drinking water.
That would be. Isn't that like a ventriloquist bit?
Yeah. I'll drink water and kind of You know,
I don't want any part of that.
Whatever that is. Yeah. Into a weird area there.
Next week, Aaron, it's the end of the world.
It's no more public domain. Public domain 2 in a row.
We're playing Armageddon.
Oh, yes. Hey, I owned this game.
Ooh.
Oh.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this
I bought this at the store. How about that?
Was this in Canal City?
Yeah, it was actually.
You can
it was.
reminisce about that a little bit too. All right. We also want to thank all the fine folks here with us in the chat. We got Curtis Boyle, William Becker, Treyguard 1982, Pixels at Dawn, Free Lunch, Retro Man Cave, who is live at Blackpool right now.
Oh, man.
Jason Plevin, Picard 2005, Neil from Indie Retro News, sorry. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us live. We record the show live almost every Friday around 5:30 Eastern. Feel free to join us.
You might as well mention it. We're not going to be recording for the next 2 Fridays.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Next 2 Fridays, we are going to be recording on Sunday instead.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Probably around, 1 p.m.
This
Eastern
will actually
Standard.
be better for most of you in Europe because it'll be earlier on. I have some friends coming in next Friday from Germany. And
he's going to be going to work.
Yeah, and the weekend after that, I will be with my band students again at a high school football game.
Oh man.
It's going to be super exciting.
That's when you need them.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Until then, adios.
Just hold for 10 seconds while you slowly move the mouse across the screen.
That is the longest episode of Amigos yet, even with the pause.
Yeah, but you broke to go pee.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And you were in the bathroom for like 10, 15 minutes. What were you doing in there?
That's what I'm saying. My bladder was full, man. I drank like 6
You need to lay off the fancy water.
It goes right through me.
Have you got that Irish up, or is that straight water?
It's straight water.
That's the problem right there.
But we've never got, that was a minute. That was an hour 24.
That's because that was the most leisurely pace we've ever. You were just like, well, let me tell you, this is like going to one of those live book readings. That's what it reminded me of. Like,
boy, don't oversell it.
Back in the day.
Is that what it's like?
That's exactly.
How many live book readings have you attended?
More than you would think, buddy. Because
I guess all of the cons and stuff. I'm sure
yeah. Listen, I'm all about live book readings. You ready to do? I'm going to set us up here.
Okay.
You lucky dog. This is one of the few times where no one.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Sorry, I was trying to say goodbye, but Bud had to turn my mic off.
All right.
Or hello to those that are staying. Hey, Retro, how is the Blackpool affair over there? You know, I listened to a long ago episode of the Retro Asylum, and it was when they went to Blackpool, and they talked about staying. It's a very famous episode because they talked about staying at this hotel they call Hotel Alcatraz. And to me, it sounded very interesting.
You got to realize that Blackpool is sort of like Atlantic City.
See, I've heard, listen, I've been to Atlantic City, so I mean, that's my kind of town. I could be okay there. You know.
Till you get stabbed in the face.
Listen, too late, all right? I got stabbed in the face by life. So what are they going to do to me? You know, make me more ugly? But I mean, it's not like my kind of town. Now, I've heard, Blackpool has a history of like it's a tough town or whatever. They used to have.
It's one of these seaside resort towns when people started going to the continent and it fell off.
You know who Steven Regal or William Regal, the wrestler. He was a guy. He was one of the wrestlers. He took on all comers at a carnivals there.
He took on all comers. There are people that actually do that. They're like, just come on up.
Well, think about it. Now he's retired now, but I mean he wrestled. The first time I saw him was probably in the late 80s. So let's say he's our age, and so that shows you that stuff was still going on. I don't know, maybe it still is. And I know there's a lot of boxing and stuff that goes on there too.
Oh, sure,
so, yeah. And I've seen plenty of footage of it, and of course I've seen footage of the con, So because Blackpool, I believe, I think the first Play Expo was in Blackpool, and they were there pretty much perpetually until they decided to go on tour or whatever. So,
how do you think we'd do if we went on tour?
Not well. Do you mean to take on all comers?
Oh.
I don't like our chances.
No, probably not. What if we just took the show?
If it was me and you versus the other guy, we might have a prayer. Because you could sort of, while he's pounding you in the powder, I could get a chair or a shank.
I'm real good at just laying down and getting beat on.
You're like, just like the human shield. Just hold you in front of me while he's pounding. I'm looking see if I can get him in the groin. That's all I got in the throat. Or maybe get thumb the eye.
Punch to the face.
I bet
Elbow in the face.
In reality, Bug, you're probably a super tough guy because you have to be pretty tough just to wear a sweater vest. You got to be pretty tough.
Well, you know about the drunken master style. I'm the fancy water master.
You also are a master swordsman. So if you when you go abroad, do you carry your sword
always,
like Masache?
Always, right off the plane. So I disembark, I just unsheath it right there, right through security.
That's great. When Freddie Blassie got off the plane to Japan, where his first visit, he came out. He had filed his teeth in the points.
Oh yeah.
And he came out, and during a match, he bit a guy, and the crowd was so alarmed at this that people in the country died, had heart attacks. And like 5 people died when he saw. They couldn't believe this guy. So you could be like him. Just come off the plane, dun dun, like in a long trench coat or something, or maybe some kind of a ninja suit or something.
Highlander get up.
The Highlander get up. He didn't have a get up.
He didn't have a get up.
I mean, what get up would he have?
I thought it was sort of like medieval clothes.
But I mean, he's like he wore a kilt and stuff back in those days. He didn't know. You can't wear a kilt now. People would look at you. I mean, out in the streets of New York in the 80s, it wouldn't fly.
That's true. That's true.
And then you kill a guy. Who killed him? Oh, it's this dude in a kilt.
That's easily identifiable.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you hear the story that happened yesterday about the guy that robbed a bank in Texas? He drove 100 miles from his hometown.
Yeah.
He put on a black cowboy hat and robbed the bank to pay for his wife's engagement ring.
I heard something about that.
As he was driving home, his fiance called him and said, "Did you just rob a bank? Your picture's everywhere." So the black cowboy hat somehow did not conceal his identity.
Oh man! Listen, at least he identified that he was the bad guy.
That's true.
That was a cowboy movie staple.
He didn't wear a white hat.
Yeah. You had to wear the black hat if you were evil.
Yeah.
That changed later on, but
now good guys wear black.
I've heard that.
Is that Johnny Cash?
Well,
he's not
was
really
he that
a good guy.
I was gonna say.
I saw that movie.
He was in prison.
Yeah.
He had some issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. We're gonna be talking about a bad man here in a minute. I'm gonna be going to work on this.
All right, here we go. William says, "Imagine sharpening your teeth and biting your tongue." I don't want to imagine it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be rocking and socking.
Yeah.
It's Frank Bruno's boxing.
That's right. Frank Bruno, dude.
Aaron, when was the first time you heard about Frank Bruno?
Oh, long, long ago. I think the very first time I saw Frank Bruno, he fought a guy called Bone Crusher Smith. Do you remember Bone Crusher Smith? And Bone Crusher Smith beat him. But I had heard of Frank Bruno because he was an up-and-coming boxer from the UK. And it's funny to think about this now. We should talk about some boxing before we get into the game, right? Because Frank Bruno was sort of the change from the old way of looking at boxing to the new way, okay? I'm going to explain why. Frank Bruno was a heavyweight fighter who amassed a record, Boat, of 45 wins with 40 knockouts against only 5 losses. And 2 of the losses were...
He only lost 5 times?
That's right. And 2 of the losses were to Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he fought a lot of tomato cans, too.
Well, we'll get into that. But in America, in these pretty much from the time I was born until the late 80s, everyone considered European boxers in the heavyweight ranks to be no big threat.
Yeah, pansies.
There's a lot of reasons. It's a lot like why people now, when you're in a smaller country and you do MMA, people don't, or like a country that's not doesn't have a big rep for MMA. People don't look at you with a lot of fear because they know you haven't trained with or fought any big caliber guys.
You haven't been in a big pond yet.
Right, and so the Europeans had this sort of label that sometimes they were tough, but you could usually handle them. They weren't like a huge competition.
Now,
in the heavyweight division.
Did that extend to the Soviet bloc as well? Or I guess in the 80s there were no Soviet fighters because nobody was
there were. Yeah, this isn't unless you're playing Rocky.
Right.
So I mean, a lot of the big players. I looked over Bruno's record, and you're right. He fought a lot of guys I'd never heard of, the majority. And a lot of the really good fighters that he fought, he lost to be completely honest with you. But he did have some notable wins. Actually, I wrote down a few of these things. He beat, for one thing, I thought that, now this is going to be nothing to you, but one of the guys he beat was a guy named Scott Ledoux. Scott Ledoux was a guy out of Minnesota, and Frank Bruno retired him. He beat him in his last fight, knocked him out. And Scott Ledoux ended up doing some wrestling related stuff up in the AWA. Yeah, but Scott Ledoux had like 4 or 5 title shots in his life, and he lost every one of them. He also beat a guy named James Quick Tillis. I remembered him. Carl the Truth Williams. I remembered him.
Where are the nicknames in today's wrestling?
They still got him. But his losses was 2 losses to Mike Tyson. He also lost to Lennox Lewis, Tim Witherspoon, and Bone Crusher Smith. So all those guys that he lost to, I mean, he beat everyone he should have, and the losses he got were from guys that were really tough. Like, if you look at these guys, Tyson, Bone Crusher, and Lennox Lewis were all world champions.
Yeah.
So
you can't say that he didn't go up against big dogs.
Right. He went in there and he beat really tough guys. Now, but he had a good rep. He was a knockout specialist. And he actually, after Mike Tyson beat him, he didn't let that get him down. He came back, and he actually had a title shot for the vacant, I believe it was the WBC title, against a guy named Oliver McCall. Now, Oliver McCall is another notable heavyweight, a pretty good guy. And Bruno beat him in a decision at Wembley Stadium and won the world title.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I never saw that fight, but I watched it this week. And
I watched it as well.
Bruno's a big guy, and he was long, and he was powerful, and he easily won the fight. And most of his fights, if you watch him, they're not really that close. I mean, he pretty much smashes guys.
Yeah, he's a very Tyson-esque.
And I will admit, my image of him was not, because the only times I ever saw him was when he was getting murdered except for Lennox Lewis, he was getting crushed by guys that were big heavyweights, So the problem with winning that WBC belt was there was a mandatory clause in it that he had to fight in his first defense Mike Tyson, admittedly, he was the first guy to actually kind of make Mike Tyson wobble a little before he got knocked out.
Right.
And I will say, every time I saw him get knocked out, he never really kind of fell over. He sort of like got the rough stop.
Yeah,
he was
the ref stopped the fight. Yeah. And I want to interject here.
Go ahead.
This is something that we've talked several times about. Why I like boxing and why I don't like MMA. And I think part of it is because the ref will stop the fight much sooner in a boxing match than he will in if somebody's just getting pummeled, if the guy's on top of him in MMA, they'll just let him go and punch the sucker in the face.
Well, the reason that happens is there are more avenues in martial arts to come back.
I understand.
Than there are in fighting.
But it's just that's a level of brutality that makes me uncomfortable.
It's funny that you're a boxing fan, given your hatred of violence.
Like I said, it's the sweet science.
It is. So, and of course, Bruno got smashed by Tyson. I think it was like 3 rounds, and then he retired.
Yeah.
Which was and that's pretty much all I knew about him. So I looked up some extra stuff because because I wanted to get into like a little bit more about the guy. So get this, and I thought this was crazy, Bo. This is the kind of crap that would happen in the States. So Bruno basically got picked up by some medical people in 1983 because he had some real psychiatric issues, okay? He had depression, he was bipolar, he was all messed up, right? So this is 2003, okay? 2003 when this happened. So he also admitted that he'd done some drugs or whatever. So anyway, get this. The Sun, the newspaper, here's the headline they went with for the first editions after this happened. Keep in mind, Bruno, national treasure, former world champion.
Right.
All right. Here's their headline. Bonkers Bruno locked up. That's what they went with.
Yeah. The Sun, not one for subtlety.
This did not get over, as you can imagine. And so they retracted that headline in the second edition. And then they felt bad. And so the newspaper established a charity.
Okay, let's back up. They didn't feel bad. They felt that they were going to lose subscribers.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And so basically, they really screwed up, and it was a real bad thing. And Bruno mentioned it. He's like, and this is a quote. I thought this was kind of a good quote from him. He said, mental illness is a terrible thing to have to cope with, but I've learned it's a fight you can win if you live your life the right way. And so I was like, I wanted to see what he had done after this. And actually, what the stuff he did was really cool. He published an autobiography called Frank Fighting Back, and it won the Best Autobiography Award at the British Book Awards in 2006.
Wow.
Pretty good. He also did a lot of commentating, which is cool. He does a lot of like guest spots on TV shows, and like he does crazy stuff like that.
Cameos.
Get this, I love these boats. I don't know if you saw this when I put it in the Discord. He released an album, a single. He recovered Eye of the Tiger.
Really?
Yeah.
I must have missed that on the Discord.
Now, it went to 28 in the UK charts. Now, I'll listen to this, all right? Because we also heard Panza from Panza Kickboxing sing.
Mm-hmm.
It was something. Frank Bruno is like, he should have been in the Commodores.
Really?
This guy sings. Now, so there's speculation that maybe he didn't sing this song. All right? But I'll tell you something, if he did, he's in the wrong career, because this guy had a set of pipes that I couldn't believe. But anyway, if you're on the Discord, you can hop in there to our music zone and you can check that out. I thought that was real funny. He's been on The Weakest Link. He's been on a bunch of crazy stuff. He competed in the 2011 London Marathon.
Wow.
Which I thought was neat. And he helped up his daughter do a documentary on BBC Three. It was called Rachel, Bruno, My Dad and Me in 2013. So I thought that was neat. He's still active, doing a lot of stuff. A lot of these world champions are still pretty nice guys. They're in a very vicious sport, but they are not vicious men often. Not just heavyweights, but all across the board.
I watched a documentary about Frank Bruno. It was an ITV documentary. And it's remarkable the parallels between him and Tyson in their early life. Very violent upbringing.
Yeah.
Single parent, or I don't know if he was a single parent.
He was
household,
a single. I don't think he was.
But his parents couldn't control him. Basically, he got expelled from school and sent to reform school. He got into fights all the time, and it was really boxing was his way out of just a life of depravity. Unfortunately, boxing was also the way into other kinds of depravity, thanks to the people that were surrounding him.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to a lot of big time boxers, or big, not just boxers but musicians. I mean, you get the money, you get a bunch of people pulling you different directions.
Yeah.
It happens to me. Sometimes we get this show. I go outside the house here. I'm mobbed. And then you gotta have.
You can't even make it to your car.
I can't make it home without a little cocaine and get back to the house, have a few drinks.
Yeah.
Fight off the hordes of women, and then it's time to record a thing on the Sailor Man. That's the way it goes.
I thought it was that he talked about, much like Tyson. Had a trainer that was a kind of a father figure for him.
Yeah.
Frank Bruno's trainer was the same, and it really hurt him, because I guess he ended up killing himself after the death of his wife and his son of cancer. I guess he felt like, and so really kind of a depressing, sad story. And then the thing ended. It wasn't as new as the information that you had. It basically ended with him just sitting in the mental hospital, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a down."
Well,
I'm glad that he sort of made a comeback.
He's rebounded, and apparently, and of course, we're not in the UK, but apparently he's a very popular figure. People still know him.
That's great.
He was a big old boy too.
Yeah.
That reach and stuff. He was a monster. I have to say, I was planning on coming on here and being like, Frank Bruno, this guy overrated. But no, he was. Listen, did he fight a lot of guys that I don't think were quality punch? Yes, but you don't rise to be heavyweight champion. It's not a fluke.
You don't get multiple shots with Tyson unless
he did rock Tyson and
that first fight.
And then hung with him for a while. Yeah. So this is when Tyson was unstoppable.
Yeah.
So we'll transition from that heroic tale coming down from the bottom to talk about something slightly less heroic. The 1985 release of Frank Bruno's Boxing for the ZX Spectrum. Now, this came out, I read two different dates on this, July and December. So we're going to go with July, but it doesn't really matter that much. This was published by Elite Systems Limited. Now, this had a large staff of people, Boat, that worked on it. Andy Williams, Trevor Perks, Paul Holmes, Gary Priest, Roy C. Green, all worked on this game, and these guys have credits a mile long that I'm not going to go into. But of course, some of these guys have worked on stuff. In fact, Andy Williams, amongst his big ones, he did Grand National and Coconut Wilf, which we've looked at both of those. There's a lot of stuff. It's funny we see these guys pop back up time and again. I saw this game often incorrectly. Now, I will say World of Spectrum got it right, but I saw a lot of people incorrectly think that this was some sort of licensed game from Nintendo. No, sir, incorrect.
Now let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Do you know if this was released on the Spectrum or C64 first? Do you have that information?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
I was curious about that.
It's funny because I actually played the Spectrum and PC versions of this. Believe it or not, I found the PC version.
I did not know a PC version existed.
Oh yeah, I didn't either until I found it. This debuted at the astonishing price of £6.95, and then the budget price, of course, was £2 when it came out. Now, what is Frank Bruno's boxing? It's Punch Out. It's what it is. It's Super Punch Out for the Spectrum. Now, there are some minor modifications and some additional guys, but that's what this is. Now, the Punch Out series is a favorite of mine. You know, I love it. I love Punch Out. I love Super Punch Out. I love the NES Punch Out, which was great. I like Super Punch Out on the Super Nintendo, and I like the Wii Punch Out. There's never been a bad Punch Out in my eyes until now, because I was not. In fact, I will say even the Coco had a really good clone of Punch Out, and the Atari 2600, the Angry Video Game Nerd, did a clone of Punch Out, and it's great too. So the clones are generally good. This clone I would not put amongst the ranks of the good ones. I was wondering how you would feel about it. And you know, normally I won't come in here and bury a game, and this one, it's not a total debacle, but I think it's straight up lazy. That's what I think it is. And when you asked about the C64 version coming out first, I know where you're going here. Was this a really quick and dirty port?
Right.
That would explain a few things. So if you're not familiar with the Punch-Out series from Nintendo, you play a boxer, and you're behind the view. You're standing basically behind his back, and you're watching him fight a guy who stands in front of him. You're in a ring, but really the surroundings don't matter. You can't really move around. You can just dodge. And you have a button for your left hand, one for your right hand, and then you've got a duck button in this case, which you can use, and which Super Punch Out had. And you fight a series of colorful and wacky opponents. Now, this game came out in '85, and I know someone somewhere is going to be like, is going to want us to mention that the off-color, sort of blue area baddies that you fight against in these games. They're basically stereotypes of various countries
in the Grand Punch-Out tradition.
Yeah, and it is. So and some of these guys were literally yoinked directly from Super Punch-Out. Just the name got changed.
And all, yeah.
And then, well. Sorta,
yeah.
and then some were like unique fighters from just this version. When you boot this up, and feel free to jump in anytime when you want to say something. But when you boot this up, you're treated to a menu screen that loads quickly, and it gives you certain options. The options are you can use you've got two different joystick options, or you can use the keyboard.
Right. Okay. Let me stop you right
there.
there.
I knew you were. Go ahead.
Okay. So this game right off the bat is ultra confusing. Because your options are press L to load next boxer.
Yeah.
Press, I think it's R to load this boxer.
To replay current boxer.
Yeah. And when you first play the game, you don't want to be greeted with that menu. You want to see push the fire button and start the game.
Right.
You know. Now, I realize why they did this. If you go through the instructions, you can actually fight these boxers in whatever order you want. The way that this game works is highly unusual. Actually, the boxers are all located in different positions on the tape, and so what you have to do is after you enter your 3-letter name, you enter something called a membership code, which is part of when you beat a boxer, you get a code, and that acts as sort of a password system where you can keep track of your wins and losses while fighting these guys in any order you want. And it's interesting, I'm reading directly from the documentation here. After you press play on the cassette player, it says, the program will tell you what boxer it has found on the tape. If it finds a boxer comes before the one it is searching for, then you should fast forward the tape a little bit. Conversely, if it finds a boxer that comes after the one it is searching for, then you should rewind the tape a little bit. To me, that seems incredibly imprecise. I don't know what a little bit is, and I didn't play this with a tape. I played this with the emulator, But I can only imagine that this would be very, very confusing to your average user.
Well, I played this with a crappier emulator, and it is. I loaded this up. I'm like, what in God's name? So, of course, I had to go hunt some help to figure out what was going on. Basically, what they did here was they just made it so you had to load each guy without it. The game doesn't load itself. You have to, and that sucks. I hated that. And what they do is an added jerk bonus, and I know why they did this. When you start a bout, you have to put in your initials or whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then you'll fight the guy, and then if you win, it gives you a code. You can't just go online and get some codes and play it not with your initials, because it's sort of the codes are specific for the initials you put in.
It is sort of crafty. Like
it's
they were
crafty.
trying not to let people be able to cheat.
It's crafty, but it's crappy. Because number one, I just want to. I found a worker. I just used some other sucker's name. I got on World of Spectrum's cheat area and just went through them. But I don't like it. That's too much work. That's too much work for this. There's no reason why this game has to be special and it can't load the game up and let you play it. I mean, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Now, someone could tell me, and I would accept this, by the way. If someone said, listen, this is the only way they could do it, that's right, Brent. That someone they couldn't do it. There's a physical reason why they couldn't use the hardware to do it, and I'll accept that. But I didn't like it. I thought it ruined the game in a lot of ways because it was just a hassle, and it breaks up the action something fierce. And also I can imagine going through this game and just having it not work. So I didn't like it. I will say you get a little bio on the guy you're going to fight right before you fight him. I thought that was cool. It's sort of the loading area. But the loading from tape thing sucked. Something else that sucked is the inability to reassign the keys. That was horrible. Now, I'm not going to dock points against that because we don't have a Spectrum. Well, I don't. I had to play this on the emulator, and so I couldn't. The Spectrum has keys in different spots than I have. Maybe that was the best way to use the keys, but for me, I didn't like it. So what I ended up doing was, this is one of the few games where I had to load up the joystick. The joystick is funky with this game because you use the joystick and the keyboard.
Right. That's exactly the way I played it too.
Yeah.
So you if you do it this way, which is the way that I recommend doing it if you're going to subject yourself to this particular title, is you use the joystick to move your boxer's hands into one of three positions. You got your gloves up, you got your gloves in the middle, and you got your gloves down. And then you hit the buttons on the top of the top row of the keyboard to punch either left or right. And then the whole bottom row of the keyboard is your knockout punch. So in Punch Out, you have an uppercut, which basically when your guy, when he's ready to be knocked out, you can hit that uppercut button and it'll really do a number on him.
Yeah.
This game, it works a little bit different. You have to hit that knockout punch a whole bunch, and even then sometimes it doesn't actually knock the guy out.
Well, in the arcade version and any other version, it doesn't automatically knock him out.
But it takes away a significant portion of their
health. That was okay. That wasn't my biggest problem.
It wasn't my biggest problem either.
The joystick and keyboard combination, it's understandable. You couldn't map all these, but there's no way you can play this with one button. It's a Z. Yeah. You can, but it's gonna be diminished. So I'm not gonna hold them against that. I would have liked to customize a game like this that has so many keys. Why they not put that in there? Maybe again we're neophytes in this area, so maybe in '85 customizable keyboard maps were not a thing that was being done.
Maybe
but
not.
I don't know. So once you get through all the rigmarole of loading up your fighter, you'll see that the fighters in this look vaguely familiar. And that's because some of them were just straight out ripped off from Super Punch-Out. The opening guy that comes up right away is, in Super Punch-Out, is called Bear Hugger. And this is called Canadian Crusher. So you can see
they kept his nationality.
Then you've got in Super Punch-Out, the next guy, I can't remember his name, but he's basically like a Bruce Lee type fellow.
Yeah, his name is like Jackie Chin or something.
Yeah, in this he's named Fling Long Chop in the traditional hilarious
offensive way.
Well, I don't know. I guess but it gets worse. Then you've got in the arcade you had Vodka Drunkinsky, the rushing offering.
Soda Popinski on the NES version.
And this he's Andrea Puncheradov, not easy to say. Puncheradov, same exact guy. And then you get into the customized these get a little. These they didn't even come close to trying. They said okay. So then you go into a guy named Tribal Trouble, who it looks like a kind of witch doctor type or a deep jungle man.
Right.
Then you've got this is my favorite name of the bunch, Frenchy French. Wonder where he's from. France is the answer.
That's
He's
incredible.
Frenchy French. Then you've got Ravioli Mafiosi.
Wow. It was a different time.
No, come on, Ravioli. That's good stuff. Then you've got Antipodian Andy.
Okay, so he's going to be probably from, well, geez, the antipodes could be like maybe from Australia or New Zealand.
Antipodian Andy. And then last, Peter Perfect. Peter Perfect. Which that
like,
in itself is another blue name.
Well, do you know what the when they took Mike Tyson out of or no, never mind. It was Mr. Dream.
Mr. Dream.
I must have been thinking about Mr. Perfect. He's not in
Mr.
this
Perfect.
game,
No, he's awesome though.
Yeah.
But no, he would. Are you kidding me? He would be in this. So this is your path to the championship. Except, as Boat said, you can sort of just when you beat a guy, it gives you a code.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you've got all the codes, you can pretty much play who you want with your initials. That's
Right.
that's the scam. If you want to fight with your tape deck, which I can't tell you, this is by far the most trouble I've had playing one of the Spectrum
Yeah,
games.
we haven't played a lot of these. There's different types of loading schemes. I know later games there were multi-load games and things, and so maybe we're going to run into some more of these kind of shenanigans.
I mean, I'm going to have to get a real one or something because of this. I mean, this was difficult.
Well, even with my real one,
yeah,
I don't have a tape player. I'm hooking my Android phone up to it, and scanning through the tape on that Android program is no fun.
Now, I thought this was interesting. I was trying to do some research on the background of this thing, and Chris Harvey, I found this, I wish I could remember where I saw this, but Chris Harvey, who worked on the graphics, was on Lemon 64, I found this. He worked on the graphics on the 64 version of this, said originally when they were putting this game together, instead of having Frank Bruno, there was a large green wireframe outline just like Punch-Out.
And then they found out that they got the license and they added a whole bunch of brown.
He said, I love this is an exact quote, and just so much of this makes me happy. The Boxer was this is Chris Harvey. The Boxer was originally the same green wireframe as Punch-Out, and it looked awesome. But then Elite, flush with Airwolf money, and the fact that they only paid us 45 quid a week, got the Frank Bruno license, so I had to go back and throw in a lot of brown. He also explained that some MPs heard about the computer fighter names such as Frenchie and Fling Long Chop and said that the game was racist on the Prime Minister's Question Time. Now, I don't know what the Prime Minister's Question Time is. I'm sure someone over there could tell us. But it did amuse me that got drawn to the attention of these people.
It's like, we just came out of the Falklands and now
Can you imagine you're the Prime Minister and someone's like, what do you think about this racist Frank Bruno game? He's like, what what's going on?
Welcome to Prime Minister Question Time.
Now, let's talk about the actual gameplay. We haven't gotten into that much. Okay, so let's pretend you got the controls down and you're ready to go in here and have some Punch-Out fun. Well, I didn't like this either. It's not easy to tell what's happening.
No.
I've played a ton of Punch-Out. I've played the Punch-Out clone on the Coco, and which is a system that's in the same ballpark as the Spectrum. And it was much easier when we know what was going on. This one, I had a difficult time, and I'm a pretty good hand at Punch-Out.
Would you like me to tell you everything that's wrong with this game?
Yeah, please. Please take the floor, Bo.
So, in Punch-Out and its many sequels, you are a tiny man, or you are a see-through man.
Right.
Okay?
Little Mac.
When you are a tiny man, the enemy sprites are huge. This allows the animators to build in telegraphs, signs, and things so you can learn patterns because at its core, Punch-Out is a rhythm game. It's a rhythm game. In this game, the enemy boxers are the same size as you, Frank Bruno. So you can't really see what they're doing. You see that they're moving their hands in interesting ways, but that none of what that does corresponds to any particular attack. This is not a game where you can learn patterns and enact those patterns. This is a game of randomness where you can land 50 shots in a row, not knock the guy out, and then the guy comes back and no matter what you do, he destroys you. this is basically if you took Punch-Out and you removed all of the elements that made it a good game, made it look worse, and then put in that ridiculous loading scheme, Frank Bruno's boxing is what you'd end up with.
You're right about first of all, just to give you credit on your point when it comes to being able to see through your boxer. I remember when I first played NES Punch-Out, and they changed the wireframe guy into that little guy, Little Mac. And I said, man, this looks stupid. Who thought this was a good idea? And then I played it, and I was like, I got it. It makes sense. Because they sacrificed the fact that you're playing like a tiny little dude, because you could see what was happening. Right? And then eventually they went to that more wireframe see-through with the Super Nintendo version, which was also fine. In the arcade, they stuck with it. And there are some boxing games where you just see a couple phantom gloves, because really your picture is not that important.
No. Nobody wants to look at the back of your head.
But they paid Mr. Bruno. They drove a dump truck full of money up to his mansion, and they wanted to use him in the game. And I guess they didn't want you to fight him like you did in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So you're going to be, which is okay.
Sure.
Because a lot of people were upset that they couldn't be Mike Tyson. That's understandable. But this is the folly of that reasoning, is that you're right. Your guy takes up a lot of the space that you need to see what's going on. And this game is sort of, it's the sprites are, I mean, it's not a bad looking game per se,
in
but
fact,
they could scoot everything more, centralize it a little bit more, or just make your enemies larger than they are.
Right. This is the curse of the Phantom HUD. This is the top third of the screen is nothing but a giant scoreboard. If they would have made that a third smaller, increased the sprite size of your enemy fighter, you could have kept Frank Bruno the same size and would have been okay.
I would have made Frank smaller. But I mean, anyway,
here's the thing. If you make him smaller, then you show, like, for example, if you compare this to Little Mac, you see more of Little Mac's body on the screen.
Yeah, you see his legs and everything. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I guess what I'm saying is they needed to do something. I can live with everything they've got.
Because here's the thing. The speed of this game is not bad.
No, it's not bad.
No, it moves along at a pretty good clip. Of course, the frame rate is atrocious, but we're talking about the Spectrum. It's not going to be super, super awesome. But I didn't feel like the speed detracted from the game at all. It's the size of the characters and the way that the enemy AI is programmed.
I will say, I tried every boxer. And I even looked at the Scooby-Doo ad at the end of the game. I went through everything. There's a little ad for Scooby at the end. And some boxes were more annoying. Like, I did not like Bear Hugger. Because I'm used to playing in the arcade. It was just, these guys aren't like their arcade counterparts that much. I mean, that's their look, but they don't really play like them. He was the ugliest of the fighters. I thought he was real crummy looking. The other ones they vary in the way they look. But I would have liked this game a lot more if I could have saw more of what was happening. That was my bit. I mean, really, the number one killer for me was the fact that the way it loaded. I hated that. It was such a pain.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to dock it for that because I am sorry, because I mean, even back in those days, we played like all the track and field games and stuff, and they didn't load like that.
Would you take? Well, obviously the reason why is because you can't play all the track and field events in any order.
Yeah, but fighting these guys in any order is stupid.
Well, I was going to say, so you would give up the ability to fight these guys in any order just to be able to play through the game.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, God. Absolutely. I mean, what Punch-Out lets you pick who you fight? That's not the way boxing works. You get to go up the ranks. That's what you're supposed to do. But because at the end you can beat the champ. You're the champ, and you won. That's the way it's supposed to be. I did not. Yeah, I think that fighting the boxers in any order, I didn't care about that. And plus, if they'd wanted to have a code to let you skip ahead, it would be the exact same thing. Then, if you're going to have a code to skip ahead, you have to open the tape thing and hit fast forward. That's on you. Okay, you wanted to do it, but I mean, they shouldn't make you do it. That's
right.
I don't like that. This thing got pretty good scores, Boatster, on from your review crew. The World of Spectrum folks gave it 7.53. Crash gave it an 86. CVG gave it a 37 out of 40. Sinclair User gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Popular Computing Weekly gave it 4 out of 5. Computer Gamer 14 out of 20. Your Spectrum 4 out of 5. And ZX Computing gave it 3 out of 5. I give it not that high a score, but maybe this is one of those games that we're getting too lazy.
Here's the thing. If you'd never played Punch-Out before, and all you'd played were other boxing games on the Spectrum, I bet this is near the top of the heap in boxing games on the Spectrum.
Well, I'll tell you something, to go back to it. I remember when I found out there was a Coco clone of Punch-Out. I was so excited because I love Punch-Out so much. And like I said, I've tried many other clones of it, and they're fun. And you're right. If this came out, but there's no way I would have liked the way you play it. I just any version of me. I don't care if the game looks like dead on the arcade. For me to have to sit there and do all this crazy stuff, I don't like it. It should load itself. I don't want to have to do any of this other craziness.
Yeah, a fun fact also, this game was released before the NES Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. This beat it to release.
There you go. Now, I should mention that there was sort of it's not a sequel by any stretch, but they actually released another, they re-released this basically as Frank Bruno's World Championship Boxing Encore. And this was in memory, and this was to celebrate the Tyson-Bruno fight in '89.
Okay.
All right, so from what I could tell, it's the same exact game with a new box, but there wasn't a whole lot on that, so I guess that's pretty much the same exact game. What do you got from the Discord?
We had a bunch of reviews on this game from our Discord community. Spence QLZX says, I remember two fighters from the 80s. Barry, you want to help me out with that?
Was it McGigan?
Okay, I thought he was famous. I thought you would know.
I'm not familiar with him, I'll be honest.
Who was so aggressive he made Begbie from Train Spotting look like a kindly bank manager.
That's hard to believe, because that guy was out of his mind.
And the lovable Frank Bruno. My recollection of this game from back in the day is that it is the Spectrum's Justin Trudeau. A little bit on the un-PC side, a couple of embarrassing screenshots could surface at any moment in Retro Gamer, and the whole Spectrum community would have to apologize. The good news is that my memory is faulty. It's no Daley Thompson's Decathlon in that respect. A pugilist game that reminds me strongly of the boxing game in Wii Sports. On the negative side, it's a slugger, as in sluggish, and the frame rate makes South Park look well animated. There's moves in here that the Marquis of Queensberry, okay, would frown on, but you know what it was fun, a fun 90 minutes, 6 out of 10. And then he says Barry McGeegan went on to be represented in Target Renegade as a pool cue toting fighter.
There you go.
I'm
guessing you've never seen Train Spotting, have you?
Man, that's the antithesis of anything I'd ever watched.
It's such a great film. It really is so good.
One thing I didn't realize is there probably are quite a few people that are listening to this right now or watching this on YouTube that never played the NES Punch-Out or the arcade. And that puts you in a different.
I don't know. Right now, I would say they would probably at least have played the Wii version.
There's a lot of people out there that they love their micros and they don't play anything
else. I will say, if you haven't played them, I suggest you give them a shot. They're great, and they're very well known here and in Japan. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Retro Enzo says, I didn't play this in the day, but I didn't play Punch-Out either, and I understand that Frank Bruno's boxing is the unofficial clone of the Nintendo game. Imagine if that happened today. Lawyers would have a field day. I'm sorry to say I'm not impressed. It's really sluggish. The graphics are poor, even by ZX Spectrum standards. Punches were landed more by luck than judgment, and any progress I was lucky enough to make was quickly undone within a matter of seconds. It's not one I think I'll load up again. 4 out of 10. Next up, Graham W. Vebke says, the man Frank Bruno MBE, he's an MBE, wow, himself is a well-known and respected boxer. I don't enjoy boxing games other than Panza Kickboxing. Even Punch-Out bores me. And unfortunately, this game is not changing my opinion. It's very slow, unfair, and visually unappealing, and I couldn't wait to get knocked out, so it ended. All right, Harry, go play something else, maybe with Zig and Zag in it instead.
He's referring to when Bruno would call fights, he would often refer to his, all right, Harry, this and that, yeah.
3 out of 10. Frank, if you don't like Punch-Out, you will definitely not like Frank Bruno's boxing. Chris Fold says,
oh, man.
As a kid, I have fond memories of Frank Bruno, even seeing him appear as the genie in the Panto at Nottingham. However, coming back to this game with sensible glasses on, it is a terrible Punch-Out clone. I should have picked Jeff Cape's Strongman, 4 out of 10. I think Chris is the one that suggested this in Clive's Club. And then he's posted a picture of Frank Bruno as Aladdin. We'll throw that up on the screen here.
Who was it Shaq that played Aladdin? No, Shaq played Kazam.
Yeah.
They could have had a throwdown.
Absolutely.
The battle of the huge men.
So we thank our Discord community for contributing those reviews.
There's one thing I should add before we move on. I found this on eBay in the USA. Can you believe that?
No.
This is going to be one of the first ones I found with these. It was the Frank Bruno's World Championship Boxing Encore, $7. And in the UK, it's $5 all day long. So you're good to go there. But yeah, hey, I almost picked this up. I thought maybe you already had it in your collection. I couldn't remember.
No, I always, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to check. One of my projects is cataloging all the wave of Spectrum games that have landed on our shores.
Put it on the list.
Yeah. I do want to let everyone know that the audio version of Our Sinclair has a new home on anchor.fm. If you go to anchor.fm/Our Sinclair, you can get links to the RSS feed as well as all of the platforms that we're currently available on all your podcatchers. And if you're listening to this in audio form, feel free to check out the show on YouTube. If you listen on audio and you just want a quick peek in to look at some of the footage, we always show the game footage during the show too. That's what I do with ARG. Got to get in there and see what Hobo is all about and all that.
Oh man, you can't get enough Hobo.
No. Aaron, I do want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you like the show and you want to support it, you can go to patreon.com/Our Sinclair. Just like Andrew Waite, Jeff Owen, David Spencer, Cap'n Crispy, Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbonaut, Graham Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, Chris Folds, Paul Bossman Harrington, and Christopher Hassall.
Fine men all.
Fine men all. Aaron, next week we're going to have another new show. We are not going to be taping at our normal time on Friday nights. Instead, we are going to be taping on Sunday afternoon, which means that Our Sinclair will be delayed until Sunday evening. So if you are a normal listener on Friday night / Saturday morning when the show normally goes up, please don't be alarmed. We will be back on track in 2 weeks. We're going to be recording a couple Sundays in a row, but the show will come out.
Boat's in demand. His talents and skills require him to be gone.
It's true. Next week, Aaron, you're going to love this. We're going to play Midnight Resistance.
Oh, the arcade?
Yeah, the arcade game.
Okay, yeah. That should be interesting. Another one, I obviously have not tried this on here, so that should be, we'll see how it does.
Absolutely. Before we go, we want to thank all the fine folks that joined us live here in the YouTube chat room for the recording of this program. William Becker, Picard 2005, Curtis Boyle, Jason Plevin, Angus Arthur, Packbilly, Z9K9, Level Lord, Duncan Stiles. Thank you all so much for hanging out in the chat. It's always a good time with you guys.
Brent was even in here.
Oh.
Yeah, and you know he's up to the good. And Retro Man K was here live, so that was
Blackpool,
nice. We had a good crowd today.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we will see you next week. Until then, rewind tape.
And press play.
All right.
Ironically, I hated pressing play over and over, and I hated rewinding tape, too.
All right, good night, guys.
Adios, muchachos. Thanks for showing up.